Just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat ass online already.
We don't normally get this back.
It's tough. It's
exciting.
It's the way
Oh, dear. It's because you guys are.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was past clearance. I don't care what anybody says.
Ready for hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
You call runs? Not supposed to. And Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
What they say? It's not the X's and the O's. It's the Jims and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee. Alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Noodles? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the No Show. We are getting, well, we just started the beginning of the week of the season started a few weeks ago, and now we're already into week 4. What is going on right now?
A lot has transpired, Joe. I
don't even know what to say. I mean, listen. For the first time in NFL history, something happened last week. It was the first time that they had, 3 female officials on the football field all at the same time. So that is a really big deal that just transpired in last week. Also, I mean, more injuries, of course. And now it sounds like first speed bump with COVID-19.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to get to tonight. We welcome everybody here to the show. We appreciate you guys joining in with us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys like and share the video and also comment down there. Let's hear from you guys. What did you think about last week? Let's recap it a little bit. Some of the business that happened here. Thursday nights. Last Thursday night, we had Jacksonville to win in that one. They were looking good, and it was kind of funny on this whole thing, because we're like, wow, these guys have been playing really at a high level with a lot of teams competing, and then Miami hasn't been. And ba-bing, just like that on Thursdays, the Miami Dolphins show up. Ryan Fitzpatrick looks amazing, and it's a whole different story again.
The Dolphins
another
just
Thursday, I get surprised.
Completely different. I mean, in the past, other than the past 2 weeks, they looked like actually, they looked like the football team we thought we were going to see in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
We thought they were going to be a more competitive team, a team that was going to possibly make a little bit of a climb in that division, and they fell flat on their faces the first couple of weeks, and then Thursday night, I mean, wow. What a change!
Mm-hmm.
So now is that like just kind of a flash in the pan? Are the Dolphins just saying, we did
won
well.
one, so now we can take it off again.
So we can
I
calm
guess.
down.
I
We
don't
can
know.
relax. Not. Don't get too many. Don't get too high expectations on us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely, I know. I mean, it was definitely interesting, and Gardner Minshew was under pressure the whole time. Couldn't really get it out to anybody. A few highlights here. Keelan Cole had a really nice hurdle. I mean, he showed his ups that he had, but other than that, wasn't a whole lot for them to talk about.
I mean, it pays
game
big
got out
time
of hand pretty
if
quick.
he's trying out for the Olympics.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, and a lot of exciting games here. Tight one in Buffalo there. You had talked about maybe the Rams having a little rough time there in Buffalo. Luckily for them, I mean, they were just played Philadelphia the week before that, so they stayed in the East Coast, didn't have to do a lot of traveling, but still, it was a tough game, and this was the game that everybody still wants to bring up, and I think there's even on Twitter, there's a whole thing about an apology note going around to Josh Allen you have to send out or something. It's very funny. And again, that's what everybody wants to see. Would see him beat a really competitive team. See how they show up. Can they do it? And they grind it out, and they win by a field goal here. Or was it 35-32, I think? And grind one out and get one there in Buffalo.
yeah, and here's the thing: is that okay, the Rams surprised us a little bit in week 1 and week 2. They looked like a pretty solid team once again, and coming over to play the Buffalo Bills. But the Buffalo Bills are not your same old Buffalo Bills anymore. They got plenty of weapons now, which Josh Allen desperately needed. The offensive line has improved slightly more after yet another offseason. The defense is the defense. It's a very good defense. We've already known that. Now you compile a more solid offense to go with that. makes that team all in all way better. So the Rams came to town, Buffalo circled the wagons, and they just handled business.
Absolutely. And Cleveland, they get the win there, too, against the Washington football team. But Washington played them pretty tough even though they got a little bit away from him there. Cleveland pulls out a win here, so they're looking a little better. But I think it's going to be a tight one this coming week, so it's going to be rough for them moving forward, too, as well. And Minnesota and Tennessee here. Now we're just hearing a little bit here about the COVID, and 3 players tested positive for COVID-19 here for Tennessee and 5 staff members. So they weren't sure what they're going to do with Minnesota if they had to sit out of practice this whole week. They made Tennessee, but that one was a little bit of a tough game. And again, Tennessee shows what kind of muscle they have here in the AFC, and the Minnesota Vikings lose once again.
So, I mean, another report came out this afternoon, hours ago, stating that it was actually only 1 player that tested positive, and all the other tests that they had were negative. So it happened to be their linebacker. I'm going to forget his name, Correa, the linebacker there for the Titans. He tested positive. He is now put on the COVID list. And they are going to take precautions now. The Minnesota Vikings, on the other hand, they also had to take precautions, had to shut everything down for initially. Now they were allowed, as of today, to re-enter their facilities after doing all the tests and commence practices. But under very strict guidelines is what the NFL is saying. I don't know what that means, what the details are. Maybe only so many players on the football field yet again, and they'll have to rotate groups, I guess, or something like that. And now directly because of the positive test from 1 player or whatever, now that's impacting the upcoming game. The who is it? The
Steelers?
The Titans are going to have to play the Steelers this week, and they are postponing that game, not to next week, the week after, but a few days later. So now it looks like they're going to either play Monday or Tuesday night, most likely Tuesday night.
Yeah, let's take a look at that statement right here. It says right here from the NFL, they put this out on Twitter. It says the Steelers and Titans game, originally scheduled for Sunday at 1 p.m., will be rescheduled to allow additional time for further daily COVID-19 testing to ensure the health and safety of players, coaches, and game day personnel. Details on the new game and time will be either on Monday or Tuesday. It'll be announced as soon as possible. So that shows you right there. Who knows? Will we have football on Tuesday now?
Yes, I'm excited.
So it'll be Sunday,
let's just
Monday,
do that.
Tuesday, skip a day for our shows, then we can talk about it right after. This happened last night, and then tomorrow we're going to have another game. So, I mean, it's going to be rolling like that. That would be
amazing.
Cool. I would like that because, again, this game, this is why I think they kind of postponed it too, because, one, you had the Titans to where they were saying you could not show up to facilities at all. Meanwhile, the Steelers could, and they can game plan, and they can get their stuff out on film, practice things they want to do. Titans weren't able to do that. They could maybe do it virtually and study whatever film they could,
Right.
But it would be kind of an unfair advantage for, I think, in a sense. But then also they wanted to make sure that this game happened, so they wanted to give that everybody those 8-9 days or whatever to make sure you have that span within the last game to where you might have had contact, so you do your contact tracing and be able to be healthy to play this game. Because I think Titans-Steelers is going to be a great matchup.
I think it's going to be a good game. I don't know. I'll say this. The Titans that we saw last season are not the Titans that we're watching this season. I don't know what happened, what changed. Is it the it doesn't seem like Derrick Henry is really getting on a roll like he did last season, and that could be attributed to defenses now keying on him, making sure that he doesn't become too much of a factor. And in turn, it's making this Titan offense kind of spit and sputter, down the football field, and they're not as cohesive as they were last year. Do I think this game is going to be a well-played game? Obviously, yes, on both sides. But the Steelers have been a pleasant surprise. I mean, we had questions about Big Ben and his arm and how healthy he is. Does he still have the drive? And it's showing on actually, he's playing out of his mind right now. Early in the season, he is putting up stats so far that are rivaling his back in his prime. So with the weapons that he has at his disposal, with James Conner, who let's face it, he's in and out of the lineup once again, but they got talent around him, and the defense is amazing. The defense has come back to play this season, and they are getting after it, really making it tough for offenses to move the football. But all in all, that game looks like it's going to be a pretty well-played game for sure.
Yeah, and it'll be the first test to see how the NFL handles this, because you saw with, throughout from when it first COVID took place, were they going to be able to hold the draft? They did it virtually, went off, I think, without a hitch, and kept moving forward. Now here in the season, people were, I think, waiting for this moment to happen to see what was going to happen here. How are they going to handle it? Because they cannot be in a bubble, something like that. Dealing with it, push it back, see how it happens. And again, like you said, I mean, the Titans, they're a little off, and we kind of said that before the season started. We think people are going to be able to tee up on them a little bit. Now they know their identity in a sense of what they're doing.
And not to mention the NFL, they're doing a great job, mind you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, a lot of people were skeptic before the season even started, said, oh, how could they start a football season with this pandemic going on? How could they? How are they going to, address every single need? How are they going to social distance? How are they going to prepare and test these athletes? Well, you're seeing it right now. Now, this is a little speed bump, everybody. This is not like half the team tested positive or anything. This is one guy that got tested positive. He's on the COVID list. Now he's staying away from from the rest of the team, and they are going to test everybody once again. If we have no more positive tests, there's nothing to worry about, because now he's going to be isolated from the team, and everyone else is going to move on, and we're going to have a game hopefully Tuesday night, which the NFL loves. You know that why? Because they're going to make a lot more money now. Yeah, now you're going to move them. Hey, it's because of COVID. No, I think it's more because you want to make some more money on another night game. Everyone's going to tune in for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens moving forward with that. It's going to be very interesting. All right, now the Vegas Raiders here, I thought maybe they could come back into this game on an uptick, but then as we are learning that Darren Waller might not even play, him and Josh Jacobs, they're kind of banged up. They very limited practice, and they go into New England. And like you said, Bill Belichick there in New England, you can't stop them, and their game plan was to shut them down, and that's basically what the Patriots did, in like a strong running game once again for the Patriots.
I will say this: I don't think Bill stopped them. I think they stopped themselves, because here's the thing: is the Raiders have never, ever have played well on a short week, going from West Coast to East Coast and playing an early game. Never. They've never played well, and they usually always lose when in that scenario. So I would say, and not to mention, I mean, they're one of those few teams right now that are just so beat up. They were missing 3 of their starting offensive linemen already. Their receivers were banged up. Ruggs never played. Josh Jacobs played, but Josh Jacobs wasn't 100%.
Yeah,
Josh Jacobs was he was limping and all feeling it throughout the whole game. Darren Waller was fine. Nothing really nothing really held him back. But all in all, it's a recipe for a disaster for the Raiders. Whenever they're in that situation where they go short week from West Coast to East Coast and playing an early game, it feels to them like they're playing at 9 a.m., which is just absolutely crazy. So, and that goes for any West Coast team that has to do that. So, just thought that alone, they weren't going to be up to the task.
And talk about not up to the task. It seems like, again, the Joe Judge and the Giants weren't up to the task again, to where, again, he says they just have to take a look back at the tape, and we're going to move forward from this and keep trying to talk that whole positive notion here. And we're going to get back to work, and eventually we'll get wins. We're not worried about losing so much, and we're not going to dwell on it. We're going to move forward, and hard work will eventually pay off into a win.
Yeah, and for Joe Judge, to be fair, it's his first tenure as a head coach, and his coaching staff. So
handed the
there's-
players that are there already too that he has to work with. He
Right,
was able
but
to get
there's-
some during the draft, but a lot of the players from the prior regime.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of chemistry that has to develop with the players, with the coaches, and there's a lot still to learn. Like, a lot has changed for the Giants. Yet again, it seems like every single season they're going through some kind of a major change, whether it be offense, defense, both, special teams. A lot has going into this. So now, hopefully, this coaching staff and Joe Judge is going to be cemented there for quite a few years. So at least they can have some continuity and everybody knows what to expect year in and year out.
And then the Philadelphia-Cincinnati game. Again, this was a game where we were like, oh, maybe Philadelphia can get this win. Cincinnati's been playing tough in a lot of their games. And even Philly can't even get their way out of their own way here. And they go to overtime, and then still both teams are managed to tie, during this whole thing. So we have our first tie in the NFL now already, too, as well, between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles there. So let's move on to what's another interesting one here? Let's skip a few. Let's go down to Detroit and Arizona. How about that? Arizona, again, with the talent that they have here, I thought this was, again, their chance to keep building on what they've done. They are at home, and Detroit, we're in some games here. Again, they let some games squeak away from them there, too, and they kind of surprised people, I think. At least they surprised me in this game and how they attacked.
Yeah, I mean, it was really kind of baffling to me. I thought for sure, I thought for sure that it was going to go the way we thought it was going to go. But
Kyler Murray with the turnovers too, you can't win a game when you do that too, and that's probably the problem.
Yeah. Turnovers is the Achilles heel to any team. It will more times than not, you're going to lose games because of turnovers. So, Cardinals, very surprised how they came out in this game. I thought for sure with the improved defense, with the better offense and all the weapons around, I thought it would make Detroit's life an absolute miserable hell. And in turn, was a very competitive game and went right down the stretch, and Detroit came away with the win.
Absolutely. And do you want to talk the Seattle game or not? The Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Dallas was down again, and they came back in it too again, and it was close. It was like a battle. It was a fight bout, a boxing match. And Seattle and Russell Wilson comes out and does it again, and it seems like he always carries this team along on his shoulders. Even though Carson goes down to Chris Carson, he goes down with a bit of an injury here too, but able to get it going, and the goes back to the well with DK Metcalf after that bad thing where he goes. The last time I saw something like that was when Deshaun Jackson. I don't know if he was playing the Giants. He was playing somebody, but he goes, catches it, and almost drops it like right before the end zone. And this is what DK Metcalf, like, he beat the defender, but it seemed like he was already at the line, so he's like, I'm just gonna hold it like this loosely and just walk it in. And then the defender was right there and just punched it right out. It's like,
you can't give up on plays. Like, this is the problem. And this isn't the first time it's happened. It's happened throughout the history of the NFL. And guys just don't seem to get it. Like, there are guys that are just as fast as you. There's guys that aren't that far behind you. They didn't quit. That's what the perception is for these players sometimes, is they think,
I beat him,
the defender,
he's just going to let me stroll in.
The defender quit by now, so I can just relax. No. And that's what happened to DK. It was a bonehead move. Score the touchdown first. Get the ball across the goal line, have it touch the plane, and then do your celebration or whatever. That was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And then, like I said, though, for the game winner, he goes to DK Metcalf in the corner of the end zone. They come away with the win at home. And
I will say this, Russell Wilson he lit the world on fire in that game. 5 touchdown passes. I mean,
he is crushing everybody in touchdown passes this season.
He is on pace right now. Actually, he's ahead of the pace to beat Peyton Manning's record of the most touchdown passes. So, in the season. Now, what does that mean going forward? So what we've noticed from Seattle more than any other year is they are throwing more. It's not so much the running in the ground game anymore. It seems like they're more balanced.
Right.
It seems like they're not afraid to, like, hey, we have Russell Wilson. Let's just let him do what he does, And it seems to be working out really well for them. unfortunately, their defense isn't staying too healthy either. Jamal Adams, he got banged up in that game. He's questionable to go this week. You mentioned Chris Carson. Chris Carson got banged up. There was some speculation that he might miss this week, but now it turns after today, it seems like there's more positivity of him making this week's play. But when you have a back behind him like Carlos Hyde, maybe you don't rush him back.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you got a long season. And we're going into week 4. It's not halfway through the year yet.
Yeah. You're just reaching the quarter point.
Right. So the longer you can keep Chris Carson healthy, the better. I think they need to just play it smart going into this week. Hey, if he's healthy and he's ready to go, by all means, go ahead and play him. But let's just use our heads here.
Yeah, roll with what you have here. You have the talent. And Green Bay and New Orleans. This was a tough one. Again, this was an exciting game.
It was exciting.
Yeah, for some reason, too, I think the next day I listened to some of the radio. This is my problem, too. Why do I keep listening to the radio, Joe?
I don't know.
But they're like, the score doesn't dictate how the game was. It wasn't as close as what the score says. It was. That game was within possessions, just back and forth. And if it wasn't for that Taysom Hill fumble, we might even be seeing the New Orleans Saints, with a win here. I mean, because that was a major key turning point to where Aaron Rodgers was able to drive that ball down there. And even on an interesting pass in the end zone to where it was close to even they were judging if that was a push-off or not to get that touchdown in the corner. We're talking different here, but that was an exciting game. What'd you think of that one?
I mean, that game was very exciting. And we got to see something from Green Bay. We a lot of people were kind of have been a little bit down on Aaron Rodgers lately. The past season, this past year, and coming into this year, a lot of people didn't have as much faith as they once did in Aaron. And he's letting everybody know that I am still the man. I can still handle this. And just before anybody thinks like, oh, it's because they drafted Jordan Love, so they lit a fire underneath him. No, this is Aaron Rodgers. This is what he does. He's a great quarterback, and he just takes over football games. The one thing that I'll say is that Aaron Rodgers looks more comfortable in this offense.
Right.
With Alan Lazard, he's more comfortable with him as a receiver. He's got, didn't have Devontae Adams this week, so a lot of people were already expecting the Packers to struggle because of that. But no, he didn't let that happen. He utilized his tight ends, Aaron Jones out of the backfield, Alan Lazard, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, and others. So kudos to Aaron Rodgers. Waited to take it right to the Saints and the defense for the Packers. They're another part of this team that's really starting to get better as they go type of deal. Like week 1, they looked like they were terrible. I mean, let's just say what it is. Week 2, it seemed like they got a little bit better, but still not that good. It seems like now they're starting to ramp up right for the long haul. And as far as the Saints go, a lot of people are still like, spitting out rumors and everything like, oh, well, you see, Drew Brees is no longer any good anymore. He's over the hill, over 40 years old. He's going to fall apart now. People are starting to panic big time. And I know that we have a segment coming up, so we'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh, excuse me. Right when I had the burp, you had to cut it.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I just want to say this too. The Saints defense, they're still playing at top tier. In terms of the X's and O's on defense, they are doing a very good job. They're shutting some people down. They got the pass rush. They got all the intangibles. But they need that offense to light up. They need it, and they might get it this week. It sounds like Michael Thomas started practicing today, and he's on track to possibly make a return in week 4. So that could really help Drew Brees and the
right. And it goes to show you any given Sunday too. They didn't look so hot, matching up against the Raiders, but this week they come back and they're looking good. The defense looks good. Malcolm Jenkins played a lot better, I thought. Yep. And the narrative too always was, let's see, when people look at Michael Thomas, is he really that good, or is it just the system they played? Well, look what happens when you don't have him. they were struggling at times. Again, getting the receivers and getting to trust some of the guys to be there. So that's why you saw a lot of Alvin Kamara again, or Kamara, sorry, Alvin Kamara there, and he's
call him whatever you want.
I know,
fine.
But he gets upset if we call him Kamara. So Alvin Kamara, and
I don't think he's watching.
Yeah, that's true. He's not watching. That's but. Yeah, and you have to condition to him in, and that's the guy he trusts, and Jared Cook was getting involved there too. So, and Drew Brees still looked good. So he was shutting all the people off about, him looking older and just not as good anymore. And it just tells you that whatever the matchups are that Sunday, how you came to prepare and how you came to play is going to dictate how you play in the game and if you win or not. And the one thing, though, again, still too many penalties again for the Saints. You got to try and limit the holding and some of the calls.
True.
And I think sometimes Sean Payton, I know he has Taysom Hill and he likes to do some of those gadget plays here and there, but I think there's a time and a place for him. I think he didn't really need it because I remember they had just advanced the ball with Drew Brees, a big pickup for I think it was first down. And then they go and Drew Brees relays the play to Taysom Hill and then walks out or whatever. Taysom's there, and then he fumbles the handoff, the snap or whatever. And then there it goes. Then he just turned it right over. You guys have momentum going. Why change it up and put Taysom in? Just get Drew Brees the hot hand. He's got the momentum. That's what they say with quarterbacks too. If you got the momentum, you get them warmed up, you get them going. That's what you want. Because sometimes if you bring these guys in, you say that people would say that with college. If you keep switching between the two quarterbacks, sometimes it's hard because you can't get into a rhythm. You can't get that rhythm going. So I think that's a problem sometimes. And what he does, he gets a little too cute, and then it gets him in trouble.
Yeah,
but,
and that's the thing.
Not major, but I mean, because he is a great coach and the team all the way is good.
In college, sometimes it works out.
It does, yeah.
Because you know what they do with college is they got two different quarterbacks, two completely different quarterbacks that have different strengths and everything. That they have plays set up for each quarterback. In the NFL, you're right. It doesn't work in the NFL. Usually, when a guy gets in a rhythm and he's really hitting on all cylinders, he's hitting his marks, he's making the right reads, he's in the zone. Like Drew Brees does get in the zone. Like why bring him in? Why bring in Taysom Hill and just kind of? Now, I mean, we could nit and pick, obviously,
especially because you know what happened,
right? Because we know what happened and stuff. But we know that Sean Payton does this week in and week out. It's part of his game plan. It's to mix it up with. But with any defense, when you see Taysom Hill on the football field, if he's in the backfield, it's most likely him running the football.
I'm going for him 9 times out of 10.
I've seen the Wildcat. In Taysom Hill's back there, it's like. Oh, this is either a handoff or he's running the football.
Yeah, he's running.
So, I mean...
Most likely he's running. Even if they hand it off, I think your best bet is just go for him because even if he tries to throw, you're pressuring him, and it's not going to be very good.
It kind of baffles me that defenses
still
are they're trying to spread themselves out so thin. They're like, hey, so we got to keep an eye on Taysom. We got Kamara, and we got, watch out for Jared Cook. This could be a pass, too. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to cover all bases all at the same time. Well, sometimes you just can't do that, especially if it's short yardage. You know what I mean? It's a run. It's a run. Just focus on Taysom Hill and get after him.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it was a close game, a good one. New Orleans, unfortunately, again, off to a rough start in a division to where it's a tight division this season. So, can they bounce back? I think sure they can. Again, it's just going to be a rough season moving forward, but they have the talent there. And like you said, they could get Michael Thomas back. I think he's starting to do a little more limited practice. I think it was this week, right?
And that's big for any team. Like, whenever you lose a key starter that just kind of, takes over games for you or is so important to your team and you lose that said player, that dramatically hurts the team. Look at the Broncos. The Broncos lost Von Miller. Now, to me, Von Miller is their best player. So if you lose Von Miller on defense, look at their defense now. You don't see the sacks. You don't see them killing it in the backfield anymore.
Yep.
So that in turn directly affects their defense. So best players, when they go missing, it definitely hurts your team.
Yep, definitely. And then let's go to Kansas City and Baltimore. Monday Night Football the other night.
Do we
really
have to?
hyped
This
up.
was ugly.
It was kind of ugly. Yeah, it was. I mean, Kansas City had all the right moves. Baltimore couldn't get the ball going in the first half. They started to a little bit in the end, and Lamar Jackson shows you how physical and how great he is in open space to dodge and weave and make plays happen. But it also opened a lot of people's eyes again to saying this guy just isn't ready yet as a quarterback. He is missing throws. Joe said when we talked about it before, on the deep balls, if he wasn't throwing behind Hollywood Brown, I mean, they would have had multiple touchdowns there.
My God.
And even Andrews, his tight end, must have dropped like 5 or 6 passes.
He did not have a good game.
In the hands,
No.
and he did have one of the touchdowns, but again, one ball that Lamar Jackson happened to put right where it needed to go. He could not bring it in and get the touchdown there when they needed it, and that was the problem.
Now, I don't know, going back to that play, I'm not sure 100% if Mark Andrews' one of his arms was being held down, because when you watch the replay, he tries to one-hand it. So I'm not sure if the defender that was on him was trying to hold his arm down, and that's why he only reached out with one. Because initially when I saw it, I'm like, 2 hands! 2 hands! Not one hand. So maybe anybody out there can clarify.
Hand checking. Yeah, I remember watching that.
Because I don't know if it got held down or not, or whatnot. Because if it didn't get held down, what are you doing?
He tried to just reach. I was going to see if they were going to call a push off again. He did try to reach to get that little bit of separation, which he did, and then he tried to get it with his left hand, right, and kind of cup it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Keyshawn Johnson brought this up that in that play you can kind of see he tries to catch it with his fingers, kind of instead of let it rest into the palms, and that's partially some of it. So where he got it, but then was like doink 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 doink, and then it's already too late. You're not bringing it in and going and reaching it and grabbing it in.
And I'll tell you right now, Lamar Jackson is a magnificent athlete he is. He is super hard, obviously, out in the open with his running ability. But one thing he has yet to get better at is throwing the deep ball. And it showed on national TV against the Chiefs, because you had guys like Hollywood Brown. You had guys like Mark Andrews. You had guys like even Miles Boykin. Devin Duvernay kind of like
how about that run?
Showed up that he could get out there on the football field and make things happen. So I still hope that they let this kid play. Let him get out there and run some routes, because I'm very excited for Devin Duvernay. But nonetheless, he was missing deep routes, and it seemed like as the game went on, I understand you got to play catch up against the Chiefs and everything, but as the game went on, it just seemed like they tried to take too many deep shots. They weren't trying to methodically move down the football field. I know, and this was only the beginning of the second half. In the third quarter, it seemed like they were just trying to rush things and score quick and get it done with. Just take what's there. Just take what's there. If he's having an off night throwing deep because the guy's still covered, then you got to take what they're giving you. Take the 5-10 yards. Drive down the football field. Yes, you're going to eat some clock up. But get down there. If you score, now you're making it a game still. Now the Chiefs can't relax. Not like they do.
Yeah.
They still pour.
And that's the one thing, though, too, that I noticed a lot with this team. With Baltimore, when they get into, they have to hurry up and try and score, they are still always a run first. And when you try to have to come back from behind and do it with running, it's tough. And then teams are going to key up on that. So it's tough for them to be able to perform. And then when you have the opportunities to get those plays in, like that was the Marquise Brown throw along the side. That was a touchdown all day if he just let him with it. Instead he throws it behind him and the play is broken up.
100%.
Totally different. With a guy with that speed that can get out there and stuff, just launch it up to him and he can run right to it. I mean, he'll do it. And then if you look on the other side of the ball, and the Chiefs, they were able to kind of do anything against this defense. The defense, they showed that the respect that they paid for Tyreek Hill, kind of they used it against him in a sense. You saw a guy always spelling right on top or man coverage on Tyreek Hill all together, and then another one. So they double teams here, there, bring a guy out, and they would hit to this open guy, and just managed it all the way around. So they were mixed up. They were doing zone, they were doing man, they were all
what
cover
happened
two.
on the play where Mecole Hardman was by himself
Yeah.
Absolutely by himself.
Yeah.
Because why? Because there was a breakdown in coverage. Whether the safety didn't communicate with Marcus Peters
He knew
or
it.
vice versa, something happened there where he
did the
an
out and up.
and up. And as soon as he went up, it's like I saw Marcus Peters. He didn't move. Like, he came up because he saw the crossing route in front of him. And then when Hardman runs right by him, and there's nobody back there.
He turns up. And
Nobody
yeah.
back there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just easy pickings. And it seemed like that throughout the game. It seemed like I'm sorry, Andy Reid is like one of the best offensive minds in football today. And he proves it every single week. He comes out with very unique, very creative plays. We saw that put on display Monday Night Football, where he had the one play at the goal line where where Patrick Mahomes had it. They thought that they dished it off in a run play.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill over there in the backfield, like it was going to dish it to him.
But then Mahomes had the ball, and he just kind of underthrew it to Sherman, who was just standing waiting there. The
just
ball,
stood
and he runs
there,
right
just
in.
did this
I
even,
was
waiting
like,
the whole time.
I was like, wow, it was a great play. Great X's and O's, great execution up front. The blocking was amazing for the Chiefs.
And they fed into that the blitz too, because the Ravens weren't coming and getting pressure. They were, but they kind of fed into that. They let them, and the blockers, again, let him go outside, over rush. He steps up into the pocket or steps out and makes the plays to the open guys, because when they bring that pressure, there's going to be a guy left open. And in that particular play, you see the defender rush on the outside, and Tyreek Hill's there, and he's there, but then the fullback is just hiding right in the middle, just going like this, waiting the whole time, and they ran right by him. Didn't even give him any kind of, look.
And I will say this. I don't think anybody brings his name up that much because it's overshadowed by Andy Reid being there. It's overshadowed by Patrick Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey and all these guys. But Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, he's doing an amazing job with what's given to him. He really doesn't have corners. He really doesn't. He has aging linebackers, but he makes them look like they're still in their Pro Bowl form somehow. And it does help. Don't get me wrong. When you got Chris Jones eating up the middle, but all in all, I mean, what Steve Spagnuolo is able to do every single week with limited talent is just amazing. Just imagine if they had a more well-rounded defense. This defense could be top 10, top 5 even easily. With this dynamic offense, you put a defense that's up into that echelon of stature, and you're looking at a return to the Super Bowl easily and possibly winning it all again.
Right, and I think he has, does he have 2 Super Bowl rings now as a defensive coordinator? I think one with the Giants, one with the Chiefs, and if he can go back again, I mean, he's got to be up there with again, talks of being able to be one of the better defensive coordinators out there, and you saw the turnaround when he became the defensive coordinator and what they were able to do with it.
What I love the most about him is that he's aggressive. He doesn't sit back and let the offense dictate what they're going to do to the defense. He comes after the offenses. He wants the offenses to make the decisions, not his defense. So, I mean, that's what I really enjoy. The fact that he's got different, creative blitzes. He's got guys that all come up. You saw that Monday night. He had a bunch of guys, like 8-9 guys in the box, and all of a sudden 3-4 of them drop back and one blitzes. Like, you don't know where it's coming from. So, kudos to Steve Spagnuolo. Kudos to this Kansas City Chiefs offense. Really put on a terrific display of football. And the Ravens, they got some work to do. They got to get back to the drawing board, and they got to figure things out because you know what? Now that teams have gotten a glimpse of this game, maybe you just force Lamar Jackson to throw deep because that could play into your game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. So, again, it was another exciting week, even a week of surprises when I think I'm starting to figure out some of these teams here.
I know.
And there you go. It blows up in your face again. But I'm glad we have football here, and it's exciting. And who knows? It's another week of exciting stuff moving forward. All right, so we appreciate you guys joining us tonight through Restream and Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. Make sure you guys like and share and join our group, Football on the No Show group on Facebook. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and hit the notification bell so you guys get notified every time we go live. All right.
We need more members, everybody.
We
That's
do.
what it
Let's
is.
Let's build a
Know-it-alls.
family.
Come on
We're
out
like
there.
a big Italian family.
That's right. Help us bring in recruits here. Go ahead. Share it to all your friends. Tell your friends about us. You know what I mean? Have them come on. They like to talk football. They like to get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Have them stop by. Hit the sub button on YouTube. Also, you can hit the bell for all the latest and greatest updated content that we send. We're also on Twitter at FB_know. Make sure you get into the know. Become a know-it-all. And let's have some fun talking football.
Absolutely. Well said, Joe. Well said. All right, so we're going to get into a little game. We like to do little
games.
segments here, there, and everywhere. And this one's going to be fun because there's a few teams out here that just have not been able to muster up a win yet, Joe. They are 0-3. I didn't even want to put Philadelphia into this one because they had a tie here with the Bengals. So I didn't. I counted them out because they had a tie. They tied at least, so they did not get not 0-3.
It's not a win though.
It's not a win. In hockey it would be a point though. It's not like 0, right? So I didn't put them in it. But let's get started. This is what I like to call patience or panic. So what we're gonna do, Joe, is we're going to take a look at the team as we go. One of them that are 0-3, and just basically break it down, see what we're looking at, what was maybe caused to why they're losing right now, and whether the team or fans should start panicking right now or just be patient with what's going on. All right, you have a lot to go here. The season, it's fresh still.
Yeah, we're only going into week 4.
Yeah, let's see what happens moving forward. All right, so let's get started with our first team. Let's take a look at it's an easy one here. Let's look at the New York Jets here, Joe.
Oh, Jesus.
Patience or panic. All right, the Jets. All right, 32nd listed offense in the NFL right now at points for, and also for yards as well. And the thing is, too, another aspect I think about the Jets is in the red zone, they're only 2 for 6 here in the red zone, when the limited time that they do get in there. Not able to get things going ever. They are near the bottom, I think 29th or so in rushing also, and that's due to Le'Veon Bell, first of all, not being there because he's on the IR. You've got Jamison Crowder too, that's out with a hamstring. Rashard Perryman out with an ankle. So you've got injuries here, even some injuries on the offensive line, but they just all together don't look like they're playing like they even want to be there. And Sam Darnold, 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions, 3 touchdown passes. You can't have that.
No, you can't. And quite honestly, they look like a high school football team right now. I mean, they are riddled with injuries. I'll give them that. They are one of the more injured teams in the league. However, even when they were healthy week 1, everybody, they fell flat on their face. I say healthy minus the receiver, obviously. But Le'Veon Bell can't do it all. He wasn't the answer to begin with to run this team. The problem is Adam Gase. It's that simple. He just runs teams into the dirt no matter if they have talent, if they don't have talent, if they're just starting to blossom. It just doesn't matter. He's a terrible coach. They need to move on from him. And even if they do, there needs to be some major rebuilding going on because now you look at the team. It's only after week 3, going into week 4, their rookie Mekhi Becton's banged up now. There's a question of him even playing this week. And if he can't go, it doesn't matter if Bell's coming back this week.
Right.
It sounds like Bell will, but you still have no receivers. You might be without your rookie tackle, who's actually playing really well. And with no weapons, Sam Darnold's not going to really – there's nothing he can do. There's nowhere to go, and their defense is on the football field all the time, so they can't even contribute. So all in all, I mean, I know it's early. I know we're only going into week 4, but it's time to hit the panic button, everybody. It's time to start over. It's time to look for the off season. Let's start working on the draft. Let's start looking at free agents that could possibly be open to maybe coming to New York to make the New York Jets great again.
There you go. And Joe says he's got a panic. He's hitting a panic button right now. So one thing is interesting about this team too. Todd Bowles, he went his last few seasons, multiple years of 4-12, 5-11. If you see, last year the Jets went 0-4. Then they started. Their first win was against the Dallas Cowboys, and then they went 7-9. Okay, so I mean, it's tough to hit the panic button right now, even though Jets fans really are, especially because your last season was a 7-9 instead of 3 or 4 consecutive years.
It's not
going
to
get
any better.
Stuff. I know, I hear you there, but I'm just saying that we've seen this kind of before, to where they've lost this many consecutive games. They've been able to bounce back, but the one key thing is too, a lot of that talent's gone. They're not even here anymore. And again, the one thing I don't like about Adam Gase here is his lack of responsibility or accountability. He will go into a press conference and say, well, I don't know what just happened.
I don't know what
out
Sam
there.
Darnold
I don't know what
doing.
that was. That was ugly. I don't know. It was trash. You guys said it was trash. It was trash. You guys suck. You know, not like my coach. You know, I know my team is growing. Anyways, the Giants stuff, and we'll talk about them a little bit. But Joe Judge at least says there's things we need to work on. We need to work hard, and we need to get this moving forward. People make mistakes. We're going to work on it and try and eliminate those mistakes. That sounds a lot better than saying, yeah, I'm just as appalled as you guys are. I don't know what the hell that was out there. Beats me.
I don't
It's
have
like, dude, you were coaching the game.
I don't have
you don't
the
know
answers.
what happened?
I don't have the answers. I don't know
so-
what's happening.
So
It's not my fault. It's them.
Yeah, exactly. Stupid idiot. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to hit the not really. I don't know. Maybe you could hit the panic button on that again, just because maybe you do need to make a switch with Adam Gase. I know they said they're standing behind him. They just said they were going give him an extension. But
I'm sorry.
but it's
with
tough.
the
You
Jets,
see the what is it too? The attitude, about it. Everybody's just sluggish. That I think they should hit a reset button.
it's because
and just do it
Gase
over.
is still their coach.
I think they'd be better if Greg Williams was the coach.
He's lost the team already. The team, he just lost the team. So once you lose the team, they're not going to fight for you. Just not going to happen.
All right, here, let's move forward to the next team that we have. One of Joe's favorite teams here. The Denver Broncos here. The Denver Broncos are 0-3, Joe. After everyone said, we're excited about the Broncos moving forward.
Everybody was crowning them
this year. I know.
Everybody was crowning them before the season even started. They were like, oh, no, this team is going to go. They're going to fight. They're going to be second in the division by the end of the season. They're going to compete for this division. Everybody was all about it.
Well, the first things that ever happened here with the Broncos, though, too, was you hear that Von Miller, he's out. Then you have Cortland Sutton, who hasn't been healthy either. Then finally he's out.
He's done for the year.
Draymond Jones, A.J. Bouye, Mark Barron, all injuries here and there. Drew Lock, Philip Lindsay too. They're still out. You know what I mean? So you're getting banged up. They were in some close games here and there, but even their gameplay, I still think wasn't up to par what people were saying. And they're still a team, I think, building. Again, you didn't have that nucleus coming back together on offense. Due to the pandemic, he wasn't able to work with his wide receivers. He already knew Cortland Sutton, but again, he had Jerry Jeudy in there, and Jerry Jeudy even got banged up a little bit too. So this team is just having a tough patch right now, and they have some tough competition going forward. But luckily, they think they face the Jets tomorrow night. So with Driscoll even back there, I think they have an opportunity to get a shot. Even maybe bring Blockhead Bortles out there,
or
too.
It could just be one of the worst Thursday night football games
It
to
could
watch.
be just bad again. So.
I mean, because that seems to be the NFL's, motto right now. We're just not going to pick very good.
Well, if they're
Thursday
trying,
night
the
football
thing
game.
is, for me, it's hilarious, is because my package doesn't. I don't know if I want to say it that way, but my cable company does that, or what I have right now. I don't have NFL Network. All right, and with the people to get to where they have to purchase it or whatever, you're not giving me a strong thing here to want to say, yeah, I got to put my money down and get this channel right now. NFL Network, I need that because of I need to see this Thursday night game. I'm grabbing it. I need that, and I don't. So I'm saying
There's
you're not
not
giving me a
enough
great
incentive.
incentive to say go get my money and go get that channel.
Correct. Yeah. So Broncos, Jets. The Broncos, just not really. I don't know how to feel about them. Listen, I know that they have their fair share of injuries, but when healthy, they do have some potential. They do. Drew Lock still, to me, is not the answer at quarterback for Denver. John Elway, I don't know why he's still the GM, because he's had how many attempts at trying to find the future at QB and keeps saying, oh, this is the guy. Oh, nope, this is the guy. No, guys, I was just kidding. It's this guy right here. It's Drew Lock. He reminds me of me. He's John Elway 2.0. I'm telling you. But I just don't see it. I don't see him being any bit anywhere close to being a starting caliber quarterback. I've seen way too many mistakes that he's made. Sometimes he's almost got like a free spirit to throw the football. When there's pressure or when things aren't going right, it seems like he just throws it up for grabs at times. Decision-making is questionable. He does have a cannon for an arm. He does have some accuracy, but I think that he still is making a lot of crucial mistakes going forward. When he comes back healthy, sure, that gives the Broncos a better chance to win. Also, with all the players that are still injured, when they come back, this team is better. Let's face it. They have a lot of talent. They're really young. Noah Fant looks like he's coming on strong this season. Finally, he's taking a grasp on the NFL and how to prepare each and every week, how to take care of his body, and it's showing on the football field. Now, when this Broncos team gets healthy again, we know that they don't have Courtland Sutton for the rest of the year. We know that Von Miller is gone for the year. However, with everybody else, if they come back to this team, they will be a little bit more competitive, and I'm not panicking yet on Denver. I still need to see more consistency from Drew Lock, but again, they do have potential, and when they all come back healthy, they still got a chance.
All right, so Joe is saying have some patience.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. He said, yes, you can do it. Yes, okay. Yeah, as I take a look at this again in their rankings here, again, the offense is struggling points, can't put up points, 30th, 29th here, and also the run game is affected. And even though they don't have Philip Lindsay, you still have Melvin Gordon back there, so you would have thought you'd been able to produce something there, but it shows you again possibly that he is not an every down type of back, that he said he was and wanted to get paid for when he was with the Chargers.
He just wanted buku dollars, which was absolutely ridiculous. Running backs don't get paid that.
Yeah, and you got to take a look at it's early too. If you're a Broncos fan, you can't believe the hype of what everybody's saying. It would be nice. I would have liked my team to just jump right back into it and be onto it. But he is still a young quarterback. He's going to deal with some of these things and try and grow from it. He's not going to be a superstar right away. It doesn't always happen that way. You know what I'm saying? So people want results right away, and you can't always get that. So this team is growing. I didn't expect them to be very good as it is, so I expect them to be there. So rebuilding, again, just like Joe said here, I'm not going to hit the panic button. Yeah, I'm just going to relax here and just have some patience with the Denver Broncos. All right, moving forward now with that. Oh, that should bring up a nice team here that we all have to talk about in the Houston Texans here. The Houston Texans.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Got to go. That's it.
Are you noticing a trend a little bit here of people that we should say have got to go? Maybe the hot seat. All these teams maybe have a hot seat type of guy on here.
Well, John Elway for the Broncos definitely.
Yeah, you know what? I figured for John Elway, I was looking at it as I was looking through some of the stats today. John Elway is the leading quarterback for the Denver Broncos in all of the stats and here and there. So I said, a little light bulb came up into me, in my head, and I was like, I know what he's doing. He's telling everybody that this is the guy. I've figured it out. We're going to try this guy. I have faith in this guy. Me knowing the whole time these guys are not the guy, so that he will never get surpassed in the Denver Broncos stats ever. He is the greatest Denver Bronco quarterback to ever play.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that's a real big reach.
Hey, I'm ready to start. I'm ready to start, any type of conspiracies there. So I would let it go, and I thought you would enjoy that.
I will.
John Elway still wants to be the best Denver Bronco of all time.
Of course he does.
There you go.
But it's kind of hard that's the thing is they are rebuilding. As much as Broncos fans don't want to hear that, they still don't have a rock-solid offensive line. They still have pieces in place here and there, like KJ Hamler. I really like that kid at receiver, but he's banged up too. It seems like they have almost every weapon almost is just injured and can't play. So Yeah, they got a lot to work on chemistry-wise, developing, but they're just building.
Absolutely, have some patience with them. So here we go. We're looking at the Houston Texans here.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien and the Texans. He blows a whole lead in a championship game here. So we're gonna promote him to GM too.
Yeah,
that sounds
it makes
always
sense,
great.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. What are you guys gonna do? Down in Houston. So Bill O'Brien, he lost the game in the playoffs. What are you gonna do? We're gonna promote him. He deserves a promotion. He deserves to have control as a GM and head coach. What does he do with that first little bit of control? He gets rid of his best player, best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Gets rid of him for a bag of peanuts. And in turn gets a injury-riddled David Johnson, who I will give credit to. He's healthy so far right now. He's playing very, very well. But all in all, not a good decision, and it's hurting his offense. He brings in Brandon Cooks, the likes of Randall Cobb, Will Fuller's still there, and the offensive line isn't improved at all. It's the same as it was before. Deshaun Watson extremely upset when DeAndre Hopkins got traded and dealt away. Now his favorite target is gone. Now his dependable receiver is gone. And this offense goes through a complete change, and it's struggling from day one. They're just not it's just not cohesive. It's not working. As good as Deshaun Watson is, he cannot make up for all the faults of Bill O'Brien.
Absolutely.
And defensively, they still have a lot of holes. Cornerback is still a big problem. What did they do in the offseason? We're going to add a retread corner. We're going to add this guy. Kareem Jackson, come on over. You know what I mean? Bradley Roby, come on in. We're going to trade for Garyon Conley.
And now he's even injured. He's not even out there.
But he's
so,
not.
It's just,
but the thing is there's a reason why the Raiders were willing to let him go. I mean, if he was that good, Raiders wouldn't have let him go, and they needed corner. So, all in all, just bad move by bad move on and off the football field in the offseason. All in all, this team does have talent, though. I mean, that's the thing. The one thing that kind of, wants you to just hold on to this belief, this faith that Houston Texans have, is because Deshaun Watson. He is a really good quarterback, and when you have a really good quarterback, that right there can help you win some football games. Even though you're Bill O'Brien.
Well, absolutely. And for a guy that's still throwing 67%, but the 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions,
right?
Again, he's trying to throw to guys that just aren't even on the same page here with Randall Cobb. He's a new guy there, but again, he's taking time off from practice as well.
Yeah, I love Deshaun Watson, but to me, this team needs to hit the panic button.
Right, and you can see that for him, he doesn't trust a lot of those guys because when he gets out of the pocket, say he's getting rushed, he trusts himself more, so he doesn't even look downfield to dish it off, and he'll just try to take off running himself.
Absolutely.
And try and handle it all himself.
Right.
And with a running game, like you said, you had Duke Johnson, it's injured. It looked like he could possibly do something, but then he's down. He could potentially come back this week. Again, for the trade with David Johnson, give away Hopkins, I think was ludicrous. That just gave you the nail in the coffin here to where this whole team is affected altogether. Tom Leiter's at the house. I want to say hi to Tom Leiter, and he's sharing the video right now, so we appreciate that, Tom Leiter.
Thanks, Tom.
In the house. But this defense, too, a defense that cannot create turnovers. They are 32nd in the league in turnovers, and 31st and 32nd against the run. So they can't stop the run at all. This defense is 29th overall, along with the offense being ranked 28th and 29th for putting up yardage and points. That's not what you're used to seeing with this offense. That's how greatly affected this team has been. When we talked about Michael Thomas not being there for the Saints, this is the effect of not having DeAndre Hopkins on the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I mean, with all this happening, like I'm saying hit the panic button because of Bill O'Brien. Like really, what has he done since he took over not just head coach, but also now that he's your GM, he's already made terrible mistakes once again as a GM. So Terrible decision-making as a head coach. Terrible decision-making and absolutely, like you said, I can't say it any better, ludicrous of a trade. He's got to go. You guys have to start over. I mean, I'm not saying like complete rebuild because at least you have the quarterback there, but you need to improve this offensive line. You need to add receiving weapons again. It's like you almost have to start over already. J.J. Watt's not getting any younger.
No, and he's injured again.
With his big money,
he didn't practice with his groin.
Right, with his big money contract, you gotta start thinking about possibly moving on from him and bringing in someone else. It's another thing. Another big hit on the Texans is that they lost DJ Reader in the offseason. Where was Bill on that one? Why didn't Bill O'Brien re-sign DJ Reader? Well, a great D tackle, and now he's off he's with the Bengals. So a lot of bad decisions, and that just seems to be the root of all the problems is Bill O'Brien. So I'm going to say hit the panic button just because of Bill.
You played yourself.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, too. Hit the panic button. I'm sure all of the Texans fans are, too. They're going crazy right now.
Go crazy. Go stupid.
Yeah, so we know a lot of Texans fans here. They're part of our group. We're part of some of their groups out there. Yes. They expected to do better than this. A team that's been making the play. Well, we thought they would take a step back a little bit this season, which they kind of had because you saw it. You saw it in the offseason. Where they had lost to that, and then the move that he had made to get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, just for the quality of a pick you even got. You didn't even get a first round pick for it.
Got a second and a fourth and a running back.
Tom Leiter says, sounds like what Seattle did with Wilson and Bobby Wagner. Yeah, I think so too as well. Absolutely. Again, but what have you kind of seen with Seattle is Russell Wilson, he's just on another level. Like Deshaun Watson, like he can play. I understand that too. But Russell Wilson, the whole time he's running and able to make plays too as well, he is still keeping his head up and looking downfield to make that throw and can make it. And I think what Pete Carroll has done there too as well, and getting some of the players that they do have be able to play at a high level, because again, we've said the way that they have taken a step back with some of the talent that they had, maybe get some of the older players to come back and try and play in this organization again. Been able to perform, and so Seattle, I think, is in a better ship right now than what the Texans 100%. Are. So absolutely,
it's not even close.
yeah, definitely there. So, and that's what I mean. You have competent guys where it starts up at the top. Pete Carroll, again, knows what he's doing in there. He's been doing it for a while. And Bill O'Brien, again, he's been here for so long. He's had excuses. When he had, I think Matt Schaub was even there when he was still even there. This is how ridiculous it goes. Tom Savage, T.J. Yates, guys like that. So then he's like, "Oh, it's a terrible quarterback. That's my problem. That's my child." And
you
then
can't say that anymore.
No, now you've got the guy, and now you
screwed that up.
Screwed it up because that guy had too much pull in the locker room. Like you don't want people to like each other in the locker room or something like that.
Captains are supposed to.
That's why you put a C on their chest. Yeah, absolutely. Here.
Oh my God.
So I mean. They didn't like him, too much pull, so there you go. So I'm going to say panic button as well. Let's move on to the next team. It's in the losing squad here. It's the Vikings here, the Minnesota Vikings. I thought they still had enough to compete and maybe take this division. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the second year here in the offense for the Packers, but they just got better, and that's why I guess it should have happened. Second year in the offense when they got better. Him and Matt LaFleur getting along, and right. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers just doing his Aaron Rodgers thing, showing people why he is one of the best, if not the best. And the Minnesota Vikings now suffering, not having Stephon Diggs, Stefanski's not there anymore either. Nope. Too, is that part of the issue? Kirk Cousins, did they entrust in him too much and what he could possibly do for this team?
I don't think so. Here's the thing is, with Kevin Stefanski moving on, now he's with the Cleveland Browns, they filled his position with Gary Kubiak, who in turn kind of runs a more run-heavy offense like Kevin did. So they didn't really lose much there. They're still going to run the ball with Dalvin Cook. They got Alexander Mattison there to back him up. Their offensive line is healthy again this season. a lot has fallen upon Adam Thielen since now Diggs isn't there. But now it seems like this past week that we have a Justin Jefferson sighting. The rookie first-round draft pick, Justin Jefferson, came and blew up on the scene last week. Had over 100, what was it, like over 140 yards receiving, had like 7-8 catches, a touchdown. Like he kind of just said, hey, I can play. Let me on the football field. So now that we've seen that little glimpse of a spotlight now, some positivity now to talk about with this Vikings offense. Yes, have they been struggling? Absolutely. But I don't think it's because of the offense, really. You know, they have the weapons. Yes, they don't have Diggs, but now they got this young rookie who looks like he's ready to take over on the opposite side. But this is defense. The defense, we called this before the season even started. They got two very young corners, very unproven. Nobody's scared to throw against them, and they're doing it at will. Linebacking core, Anthony Barr just now recently got injured. He's not playing. So now it's all on Michael Kendricks. Also, you have their D-line is not the same like it used to be. There is literally no D tackles to push the pocket, to create pressure. Yannick Ngakoue got traded there. That's great for them. That's a good move. And Daniel Hunter, he got injured.
He's injured too.
He's
on the
going
IR.
into week 4. Like he was going to miss 3 weeks. So is it week 4 or week 5 he might be back? So that's
right
something
now,
to watch.
Yeah. Right now they're saying that he's not even practicing. He's
probably
out
week
still.
5
So
then.
yeah, they're just gonna keep it going.
But nonetheless, the D-line isn't there anymore. They don't have that complete defensive line where they had the two big D tackles that could push and create pressure up the middle, and then you had your outside pass rushers just gobbling up anything outside. So now that you don't have that, your defense is completely changed. You don't have those corners like you used to that were polished, that were in their prime. Xavier Rhodes, now it seems like he's moved on. He went to the Colts. He got an interception, I believe, last week for the Colts. So
yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, I think he kind of made it easy on him.
But he did. But the funny thing is when he was with Minnesota, he couldn't find the football. He couldn't find the receiver either. So, but now it seems like it's not so much the offense; it's more the defense that's struggling big time, and Zimmer just doesn't have an answer for it. And because of that, they are going to struggle, much like a lot of teams that have that same situation where their offense is decent or good, but they just don't have an answer on the defensive end. So Vikings, I'm going to say patience with them because I feel like they're going to win some games because of their offense, but only because of their offense. You know, where like because they just don't have both sides working. That they're not going to do great. They're not going to be, division they're not going to compete in this division. I don't think they're even going to come close to winning the division. But I still think they're going to win some games along the way, but they're going to lose a lot more than people expected.
Nothing is impossible.
All right, there he's saying he's having patience with them. It's going to be tough because if I look at their schedule even too, I mean, you can maybe take some of the blame for having to play the Packers, who was a playoff team last year, who took division last year, playing the Titans here, who again went far into the AFC playoffs as well. Colts, who probably should have been there, and then now they have the Texans and the Seattle Seahawks to face against here. So, I mean, a lot of tough games. Atlanta Falcons, bye week, and then you're back at the Packers again, and then maybe the defense of the Chicago Bears. So it's tough. Like you said, patience. I don't know. I think some of these fans here for the Vikings are going to be losing their minds a little bit here, and I think they're going to start to have a little bit of a rough patch, and maybe if you're saying patience, like wait till next year, that's probably the best option. If that means patience, then I guess I'm with you on that too as well, I guess.
Of course it does.
There you go.
No, what are you waiting
I'm not saying they're going to win the
Yeah.
division.
Oh, I know. But I mean, like, I think fans are going to panic in a sense just because they probably expected to be good again, and they're there, and they are paying Kirk Cousins what they're paying here, and that's what they paid him for. And the fact that when they had Case Keenum there, he brought them up to a championship game to possibly make it to the Super Bowl, and they couldn't get there. And since then, they haven't been able to.
However, that's when they had a great defense.
Yeah, I hear you too. I know, but again, maybe they don't have the great defense because they have the money invested in Kirk Cousins. It's a potential. But again, what do you guys think out there? You guys think they're panicking, or if you're a Vikings fan, are you panicking right now? Are you flipping out? Or are you just saying, we'll get it?
If you ask any fan if they're panicking, more times
maybe
than not,
I know
they're
you
just
see
gonna say
everybody
yes.
overreact. All right. So I'm not panicking here so far with my team. So let's talk about here, Joe. It's the New York Giants here, who just look bad at times, but it seems like the first half. If they play the first half on repeat. I think they're in games and they play well, and they're there. It just seems like as the game progresses and they continue to not really get points and they're just staying in it, they just get tired and then they finally just create turnovers and get beat down to where they can't come back out of it. I think Daniel Jones is playing still at a decent level, and look what they do. I think on offense, Jason Garrett needs to maybe open it up a little bit. Look what the kid can do with some of those run plays. I mean, he was getting out in open space and getting chunks of yardage. Maybe they should implement that into the playbook a little more to keep maybe defenses checking to see if, all right, we got to make sure that he doesn't get on the outside and get running and maybe take off some of that pressure on that offensive line. And I heard the Giants now are going to be switching up a little bit of personnel and how they're going to make up their offensive line. Is that going to make a difference or not? Or is it just going to play into the other
It'll definitely make a difference, but probably not a positive difference. Yeah. Because whenever you go to change anything in the middle of the season, in the offseason. Now, here's a perfect example. If we had preseason games, which this is another big disadvantage for teams. If we had preseason games, you can play with your roster, with your lineup, and see who fits best where. But because we didn't have those, because we couldn't be creative with our roster, you're gonna it seems like Joe Judge is willing to try it during the football season. So if he starts to mix and mash different offensive linemen in different positions and try to change it up that way, right now, it's not really going to play off well because now they're not going to be used to it. They're not going to be comfortable in those said positions unless they've had recent experience. But it just seems like if you try to change too much now, that it's going to take more of a negative effect than a positive. And just stick with what's working right now. You know what I mean? Try to grind it out. Try to make it work. But who knows? Maybe your center could use it. Maybe he could be changed out.
Yeah, because he's not doesn't usually play the center though too.
Right,
he plays a different position.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like John Halapio, who was who came back to the New York Giants. Looked like I thought for sure when he re-signed that he was probably going to compete for that center job and take it over like he was last season. Instead, they offered him a practice squad spot, and then he turned it down. And I don't even know if he signed elsewhere by now. But if he's still out there, maybe bring him back and have him start at center because I thought he did a pretty good job when he was there originally with the Giants. So if that's the kind of change Joe is talking about, then I'm all for it. But if you're going to start changing guys like from right guard to right tackle to left guard, that kind of stuff, I think it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
But all in all, I do like what the Giants had. Like, listen, week 1, I saw something that I didn't see from the Giants last year. Life. They made way too many mistakes every single week. It seemed like, turnover after turnover and the poor offensive line play. Listen, it's still not polished. It's still not perfect, and Joe Judge knows that and his staff. This is going to be something that they're going to have to definitely attack in the offseason. They're going to have to go out and see maybe if there's a free agent alignment that they can either trade for maybe if they want to do it now or wait till the offseason, see what free agents are out there to improve this offensive line as well as the defense. That's been the key the last couple of years is adding to this defense, getting them better, getting all the spots that were weak once to be a strength. And it seems like they're getting closer because this year the defense as a whole looks solid at times. They look pretty darn good at times. But then they do have those little miscues, and that's where they just don't look so hot. But it seems like they're on the right track. So I really do like this Giants as a whole. I know they're going through a rough patch right now, and it looks like that's probably going to be, sadly, down the road. That's kind of what way we're going here with the Giants. Is that they just haven't figured it all out yet, and they don't have everybody in place just yet. Gonna have to wait. Another offseason goes by. Let's talk about them next year. If they make all the right moves and all the right additions and subtractions next offseason, we could be looking at a completely different football team and a team that could really make a push for the division. Now, this division, we all know it seems like a struggle for any team to take over and win it. So I'm going to say patience with this team because
Yes, you can.
another reason why is because they're not the healthiest either. It's Shepard is hurt. So is he? Coming,
he's on the IR.
He's done? He's done for 3 weeks. So he won't be there for this week. So they're missing a talent there. Darius Slayton, he's a baller. So maybe they go more to him in the passing game. Evan Ingram, it seems like it's really odd. Like it's like he's disappeared at times. I don't even know if he's a major part of the game plan at this point.
I think they try to again. It's just inconsistency. I'm like some of the balls he can catch, but then other times it just seems like he doesn't have hands at all. It's like he's just not making it happen. And then when you're talking about the other wide receiver depth, Golden Tate, I think he can't be your star receiver too because he doesn't have the height to go in there with them.
Has to play in the slot.
Yeah, absolutely. Darius on the outside, and then after you get past Shepard, like you're saying, you're marching out guys like Damian Ratley and C.J. Board out there. I mean, which aren't lighting up any defenses. Like, oh, you got to really cover these guys. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't have a strong running game here, we didn't get to see enough of Devonta Freeman yet. Maybe he gets more involved this week with Deion Lewis there as well. Establish a bit of a running game to alleviate the pressure off the passing game.
It depends how much of the playbook he can digest, and that was the thing. He only signed like 2 days away from the game time type of deal, so didn't have enough time to learn really the playbook. He still played, but maybe after a week he's going to get the majority of it down to where he'll be more of an impact for this week.
Right, and people forget that Xavier McKinney got injured early, so you weren't even able to. People were excited to maybe see him, and then he said you got Bradbury there. This was going to be our lineup. This was the way it was going to look. But then you haven't been able to have that. So I think Dave Gettleman, people are saying that maybe he should have a hot seat too. I don't think so because he's going in and trying to make the moves. If guys that are out there, he went and got Devonta Freeman right away. I mean, Logan Ryan was out there. He went and got him because to plug him in there. Now starting him at safety. It took him a little while. Yeah, it took him a while to even finally get in here too and hit the field. But they're starting him at safety, which I think is kind of interesting. Unless they're going to put him up in the box
I think that's a bad decision.
I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they don't. Holmes, I don't think is doing very well as it is, anyways.
The biggest need for them was corner. So if you go out there, now you're going to use him at safety. I don't understand. Like he's a corner. Yes, he can play safety.
He can, yeah.
But I feel like you should play. Your more major need is cornerback opposite Bradbury. And I'll just say this: the best signing that the Giants did make this offseason was Blake Martinez. Absolutely killing it on defense, and just like he did in Green Bay. This is why I don't understand guys like him. He's still young in his prime. He's like 25, 26 years old, and he was in free agency for a long time. I don't understand why some of these guys like kind of get overlooked. But anyway, Giants, they end up scooping him up, and he's just absolutely balling out on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm going to agree with you here too. Again, because I kind of knew where my team was going to do. They're showing signs that it could be exciting, that there is change happening. I'm interested to see what this week kind of leads us to with Logan Ryan being there, if he's a little bit of a difference maker, and Bradbury again making plays too as well on defense, like you said as well.
The only thing that I'll say is double team Aaron Donald.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Because
you're going to have to.
If he's going to have any kind of a game like he did last week, this could get ugly quick.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I mean, but we've seen guys like Cameron Fleming, though. let guys just pass right through. So, I mean, if you double team, he's going to be letting somebody else, maybe Brockers or somebody, they'll go coming in. So
I feel like you need to worry about Aaron Thomas.
yeah, I know.
first.
I know you do. But I'm just saying, it's not like there's other guys, that aren't on the team that can make it in there.
Joe Judge is gonna have to get creative. Bring in the blocking tight end, so you can double team Brockers, and then you double team Aaron Donald, and you just see what happens.
All right, yeah, okay. All right, so then finally that's going to bring up our last team. That is 0-3 here we're going to talk about, and it is none other than the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, jeez.
All right, Joe, the Atlanta Falcons. Getting known for now the biggest blow-ups here in the fourth quarter here, giving up games, 20 plus here and there, 20 the other day, and then in the Super Bowl 25. So they have some injuries still. Julio Jones, I don't think is going to play again this week. Takk McKinley, he's questionable. He didn't practice. But Matt
He doesn't
Ryan,
do anything anyway.
Still trying to get those yards out there. But the interesting thing with this team, even though now Dan Quinn has stepped away from being defensive coordinator, and they give it to to Morris, but seems like still defense should be your strong suit, and you're on defense against points for, you're 32nd in the league, yards 31st, on first downs now 30th there, and attempts in the passing game it's 31st in yards, and 31st in touchdowns. You're just letting everybody score all day on you, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, you cannot let this team break down like that. And it's not only just even Dan Quinn and the defense on top of all that, though, too. I mean, yes, Dirk Cutter is able to get a little bit of a running game here going to, but it's decisions, crucial decisions in the fourth quarter when you do have a lead and making the wrong calls, I think. It's poor game management.
Absolutely. And it's funny because Dan Quinn, when he first got hired, he got hired to improve this defense, to make it better. Make it kind of like what Seattle was, because that's where he came from. They wanted an aggressive attacking defense that didn't let up, that put you in a chokehold and didn't give you any room. What did Dan Quinn do? None of that. It seems like it's still like he has great talent. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, the talent's
the
there.
Safeties are really good. The Deion Jones at middle linebacker is an amazing linebacker. Grady Jarrett, one of the best D tackles in football. But they can't all do it by themselves. It doesn't seem that they've added talent. Opposite on the outsides at cornerback, at the outside linebacker positions right now. Devondre Campbell left in free agency. That was a big loss for them. And Vic Beasley also, but they really weren't high on him anyway. So Takk McKinley, a draft pick that they had, who still has not proven that he was worth it. And you mentioned that he's banged up, so still not on the football field, not being productive. This defense now, when Dan Quinn first came on board, he was like, I'm not going to call defensive calls. I'm going to leave that to my D coordinator, but I'm going to talk with him week to week. Then it went from that to like, I'm taking over the defensive calls. I'm going to make a difference. Still didn't do anything. And then from there, now he's giving it back over, and it gives it to Raheem Morris.
Yeah. And
basically what this is if Raheem Morris can't make it better, then it's his fault.
Yeah.
No, Dan, you've been here. This was part of the hiring for the Atlanta Falcons, is for you to make this defense way better than what it was. And you're not doing it. There's no evidence of it. And then offensively, when Dirk Cutter came aboard, I feel like the offense got way worse. The passing's still there, but when you have great receivers like a Julio Jones, like a Calvin Ridley, who's still young right now and making a huge impact this year, you can't go wrong. You can call any kind of a pass play, and somebody's getting open because they're that special. They brought Todd Gurley in this year to replace Devontae Freeman's departure, but not very utilized. You know, they don't really use him that much in the passing game. They're not really running that much. It's like 14 to 16 carries a week. It seems like for Todd Gurley, very low. And to me, it just makes your offense too much one-dimensional and too predictable. And we're seeing that they just can't hold on to leads anyway. They can put up points.
They can put up points, when
but they
want.
just can't hold on to the lead, and that falls back on the defense, which is why Dan Quinn, because he's still there, I just don't understand. This is another perplexing move by the Atlanta Falcons organization that Dan Quinn is still there. Arthur Blank, I beg you, fire this guy. Start looking for a new head coach. Start looking for a new defensive coordinator. Start looking for a whole new regime there for the coaching staff, because things are not going to get better. Matty Ice isn't getting any younger, you know, and the defensive players that they have, they're talented, but they just need more help. I mean, so all in all, hit the panic button now. You got to get rid of this head coach and Dan Quinn. You got to start over in the coaching staff, and hopefully it'll light a spark up for next season if they make the right moves.
There it is. There's the panic button.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
There you go. And maybe they will. Maybe they won't. You know, it's like you said, Dan Quinn there. So, I mean, there it is. He's going to go with the old fail there. I mean, I kind of agree with you here, too. It's about time you maybe make the switch here. He's had enough excuses. We've seen this many times with coaches to where, you know, we saw it with the Giants. You know, I'm a Giants fan. You know, it had to be Kevin Gilbride was the first one to go. Then it was, Spagnuolo, boom, just cutting people. Then finally it came to Tom Coughlin's job. Now you got to go. We can't fire you. Will you please walk away? And he walked away. This is where you're coming to. Like you said, you're like, wait, fine, I'll take it out of my hands. I won't be defensive coordinator here. This guy's going to do it. A guy who was his wide receivers, tight ends, and I think lineman coach last year or so. So it wasn't even any part of the defensive coaching at all.
Right.
So he expects him to go in here. He's going to be defensive.
Not to mention, it's not fair for Raheem Morris.
Right.
Raheem Morris is actually a good D coordinator, really good D coordinator. But you're throwing him the book, like, right into week 3. Like, now you're saying, here, make a difference. With what? You don't have the corners to do it. You don't have the pass rushers still. You just don't have enough help. And you're going to what? Now this poor guy's going to look like a dope for the rest of the season because, I don't know why he couldn't make the difference. You didn't give him anything to work with.
Yep. So I agree with you there, too. Yeah, it's
hit
the panic button, and maybe in a little bit we will be talking about more hot seats. All right, so that's our panic or our patience or panic, and we've had a lot of season left over to go. You know, those are 0-3 teams, and see if some of them can turn it around and see what happens moving forward with all those guys and see if they can get better throughout the season as we move forward. All right, so that, brings us up to our In the Know fact of the day, Joe. There it is. All right, here's an interesting one. On October 4th in 1987, the NFL Players Association went on strike from weeks 4 to 6. During the strike, some NFL teams used replacement players. The strike ended after 24 days.
I love that movie.
Yeah, the replacements, right? There you go. So that's your In the Know fact of the day. And yes, and people have maybe talked about maybe replacement players this season because of COVID and stuff like that. Was it gonna get that bad? They had the certain roster spots they had to save for it all. We have our first game now that's gonna be postponed for a couple days, maybe 2 games, maybe just a 1 day. They're gonna move it to Monday. So everybody's learning with this process as we go. I think people have been patient too. You want to talk about patience? Trying to figure out what we're doing with sports. College teams have said, there was college divisions or groups that are saying, they're not playing the Big Ten, this, saying we're not. And then all of a sudden, as things are coming out, they're like, we're feeling the pressure, I think. All right, now we're going to play this season. You know what I'm saying?
Because the evidence is out there.
Yeah.
Like, you can be careful and go through the procedures, that, for social distancing, wearing a face mask, doing all these things, testing, and it's showing that it can work. Major League Baseball making it work. The NFL making it work. The NBA makes it work. Now, they've all done different things to make it work, but all in all, we're still able to watch sports. We're still being able to enjoy something that we love. So it can be done, and college football seems to be the last to fall in line with that. I understand they wanted to be, they were a little apprehensive. They wanted to be super careful, especially with the college athletes, and with their, who knows, because schooling has changed. It's way different than what we are used to. So
schooling on the kindergarten level has changed now. It's ridiculous now.
It's a different game plan altogether.
Absolutely, yeah.
So now it seems like college is starting to warm up to the idea. You see divisions, you see conferences now. You even see players. There has been a couple of players recently that have changed their minds on opting out of the season and just preparing for the draft, or just opting out altogether. Now it seems like they're opting back in, because it sounds like they're going to get warmed up and ready to go, because there's already college football happening. A lot of the it seems like Pac-12 is making an announcement that they're going to start pretty soon. Big Ten made an announcement that they're going to start really soon. It's a little delayed of a season, and I'm curious to see how this all works out, because there's been other conferences like the ACC that started right from jump, but said we're only going to play inside our conference. I wonder how this is all going to play out, because now that you have some conferences and teams delayed their season, others started ahead of them. How is this all going to work out in the end in terms of possible super championship games, if they're going to do that or not? We've heard before that Division 2 and 3 conferences decided that they just completely got rid of them. And then at first they weren't going to play a season. Now it sounds like they're warming up to it. So a lot is just kind of all confusing right now in the college world. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that to see how it all ends up.
Yeah, well, I think what helps is the difference, the distance between when the season ends and they finally play the championship game. They have that few weeks before New Year's Day or whatever. So I think they have time to get that together, and a lot of divisions or conferences, like you're saying, are going to play within the division, get there, and it's shortened. It's like 8 games or something like that, and get your conference champion. And then it'll be champions versus champions. I don't know how they're going to fit. I don't think they're even talking about any kind of rankings or whatever like that. So I'll place them in seeds in that sense. And I know some smaller divisions and conferences. I think UAlbany might have just even said, the conference that they're in is starting up in March. They're going to do something again too. People with the teams within conference, and then they have their own certain conference championship, and then call it a day there. And that's going to be going on in March, right when even their softball or baseball athletes are going to be starting up in other sports. So the next spring, I think, is going to be another unleashing of a lot of sports all at the same time, and it's going to be interesting what happens. Because, again, right now we're in just starting October, and we have the NBA Finals going on. We have the Stanley Cup just wrapped up, and the baseball championships is going on too, right? The playoffs right now. So that's all going right now, and we still have the NFL season here still to go. So a lot to talk about amongst the sports world. We just don't like to talk about any of that other garbage because it's not as important as the NFL. So, speaking about which, though, in the COVID-19, how do you feel about now the NFL coming out again and saying, listen, if you guys don't wear your mask, we're going to come down harder and harder sanctions on everybody.
I thought it was ridiculous how much they came down on them in the first time around. $100,000. They fined the coaches more than the players.
Right. Yeah, they did it.
So the team gets fined. The coach that did it gets fined. I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing is, and this is where I kind of get a little confused with the NFL and their standards, because a guy can commit domestic violence, a player commits domestic violence, but you get suspended. You lose game checks. You know what I mean? Or what have you. But in the end, it sounds like they're almost like willing to really hammer down on the front office. You know what I mean? More than the players. Like domestic violence and not wearing your face mask during this pandemic to me seems a little crazy. Yes, I think the fine is a little too steep.
Mm-hmm.
I understand they're trying to make a point, but now it sounds like they said they came out and they're saying now you're going to get heavily fined and possible draft picks taken away from your team if we catch you guys doing this again. I think it's kind of crazy. I mean, I understand they're trying to make a point, but here's my thing: is the NFL now? If you're so concerned about the distancing and keeping everybody safe and everything, listen. Every member in the NFL, every coaching staff member, every player, even like field staff and stuff like that, they all get tested every day. They're all getting tested. It's not like the players are the only ones getting tested and the coaches are just, hey, once a month maybe. No, they're all getting tested. If none of them have positive tests come back, why? And there's no fans in the stands right now. Very limited if there are. I don't understand. Like, so what you're telling me is that we need you to wear those face masks, but players can go on the football field and everything is the same like it used to be. They're high-fiving, they're talking face to face. There's no social distancing happening during games, after games, before games. Everyone's saying what's up. You go and see your friend from another team and all that. Like, where's your standards? They're all screwed up. Your priorities are all screwed up here.
Right.
Because if you want the coaches to make sure you always wear your face mask all the time, well, then why are you letting the players get close after the game? They should be separated. Everyone should be separated then.
Yeah,
but they're not
that much. Yep. And then like you said, when they're not out there on the field, they're together in the film room.
They're always together,
hanging out, watching film. I doubt they're wearing masks. Like, come on, you guys have to wear your mask to watch a film and this practicing.
Did you ever see them in practice? Thing. Like, I'm sure you've watched plenty of Giants clips in practice or anything. Anybody has. No one's wearing face masks.
No,
they're together because they've all tested. There's no positive tests. As long as that happens, I don't understand why the NFL is so.
Again, it's probably just how your image looks. It shows that you're trying to do your best or whatever to limit it. But like you said, guys that have worked together, that are still doing, in that close proximity together, you know who you've been in contact with. I understand they're saying it takes that one irresponsible person and maybe he did something, or maybe they weren't irresponsible, just happened to be the wrong place at the wrong time, contracted it somehow.
Yep.
And possibly could spread it to others. What we've seen so far with the Titans, there's nobody else that has spread to. Then hasn't gotten any further within them. The Vikings are have a clear bill of health right now. So whatever they are doing is working. I understand where you're coming from too as well. Again, it seems like a little too much here too. I think it is a play on how it just overall looks. I mean, here we hear the presidential debates. They're talking about it.
I mean, that makes sense.
Who's wearing a mask, who's not, and stuff like that.
I get the fact that they want to show the public, like, hey, look at, we're wearing face masks.
Yeah, we're doing it.
But the public isn't always. No one's getting tested every day in public,
right?
You know what I mean, so it's like everyone that pays attention to the NFL. We all understand that. We all know that the players, the coaches, everybody that's involved in the NFL is getting tested every day. And they even have these, I don't know if anybody's noticed
trackers.
They have these trackers on their wrist. And they will actually emit an alarm if their test comes up positive. So it allows them to notice, like, hey, maybe I should stay home or whatever. You know what I mean? It could even be on the sideline. Like, it could pop up and it's like, well, I better go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so the NFL as a league, as everything that they've installed for COVID, for this pandemic, I think they're doing a fantastic job, but I think they're getting a little too crazy in terms of expecting, I understand there's an image wearing the face mask during television and all that, but these guys are coaching. These guys are trying to yell plays out and so forth. And, I mean, everybody's worn a face mask before. You ever have a conversation with a face mask on? Sometimes it's hard to hear the person. Sometimes your words get mumbled or whatever because of that on your face. So I just think that I think as long as no tests are positive and everything before a game, and you're not going anywhere else but like home and then to the facility or whatnot, you get tested. If nothing comes back positive, why do they have to have the face masks on during the game when everybody is so far apart? Even fans, they block the first, I think, 10 rows. So they can't even get. They're nowhere near close to the players. They're nowhere near close to anybody else. They've taken such a good stance on this thing. I think that they can, for lack of a better word, loosen up a little bit. For the
even
NFL.
the fact that you're going in and actually finding people, you could try and just better words and request than that they comply with what's going on or do your best. I mean, Sean Payton had it. You know what I mean? He had coronavirus.
Same thing with John Gruden.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were there. I mean, and so you're yelling at him for not wearing the mask or whatever. I'm like, he knows what the consequences were. He's went through it.
Yep.
So it's not like he's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. It's not going to bother me.
Right,
He lived through it.
Right. And they did apologize. Like, they both that Monday Night Football game, and that's when this whole thing kind of blew up.
Different even mask set up, and they tried their best to get to it. I know it's tough.
It's hard.
And I know you said it is hard to talk through one of those stuff, but not if you have a football in the know, mask though. Very breathable, easy to talk through, and they're only $10.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. So
Nice
I mean,
plug.
there you go. Yeah. Football in the know masks, $10. Get them through us. Just send us a direct message on Facebook, YouTube, and you can get your very own. And they're very beautiful and
They're
very breathable.
And they will make you look beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I get compliments on mine all the time.
That's right.
It is pretty amazing.
It highlights your eyes.
Oh, it does. It's red, white, and blue too. We bleed those colors, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so it's time. It's time for us to get into our picks here, Joe.
Excellent.
All right, in the picks competition, it's getting hot and heavy. Here we go. We
Hot
were
and
just
heavy.
tied. I guess that's a way to describe it. I don't know, but last week we were tied, and you came out strong again. We had games here, and you took a 3-game lead now on me. Bam! Just punch me right in the mouth. Let's see if you can kick me while I'm down here this week moving forward.
Don't
here.
worry, I'll make up
But,
for it this week.
Who knows? With the way these games are, you never know what team is
No.
going to win. So
It's crazy.
I mean, you missed it. And tell you what, if I feel like the villain on Scooby-Doo with that Bears game. It's like, I would have got away with it if you didn't put Nick Foles in the damn game.
That's right.
We're for you nosy kids. Why? Because I went into picking that game that Mitch Trubisky was going to be the starter and playing, and he did not play very well. And it looks like they were going to lose that game. They should have. And then Nick Foles comes in and changes the game.
And Foles does what Nick does.
He does. But again, it's what the Atlanta Falcons did, what the Falcons did. And just let him in there. Let's play freaking soft zone and just let him get in there. But let me tell you, though, that line, the pass pressure, he was getting banged up, though. He was getting that last touchdown pass was amazing by Nick Foles because he gets arm out hit. Not even full, complete, motion, and it is
Follow
right on
through.
the money right there.
Not
to
even full
Anthony
follow through.
Miller,
Yep.
right there where it needed to be, and that was amazing in itself.
I got a quick question for Bears fans out there. I'm just curious. Like, did anybody buy the hogwash, the bullshit from Matt Nagy in the offseason about how Mitch was outperforming Nick Foles? Because I didn't. I didn't buy it. Nick Foles, we already know what he can do. He's a veteran. He's been there, done that. And for Nagy in the offseason process, try to say like he was struggling with the offense and not really,
Taking some time with
not really getting the right reads and throwing it to the right receivers and all this. Stop it. We just witnessed what Nick Foles was doing. Killing it.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, what
100%.
you say about that, Matt Nagy, and then especially even after, because they're trying to smooth it over so he didn't hurt Mitch's feelings that he gets. He's like, "Well, we're not naming him the starter yet. We're going to mow it over. I'm going to talk to my coaches and see what we want to think and name our starter at a different time."
Nagy,
well, it took like the next day. They did it,
Matt Nagy, if you want to keep your job, you put Foles in now.
Yeah, and that's what he said right after that. He's named the starter next week, and now he has to be the starter moving forward. That's what you need to do. You already made the switch. You can't go back on it. So there you go. All right, so let's crank the music up here, Joe. You've got a 3-game lead on me here. Let's get it going with tomorrow night's
Thursday night
highly
football.
anticipated game. It is the Denver Broncos versus the New York Jets.
I know this game. It's like
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Yeah,
bet.
it is. It is.
So we talked about Denver Broncos and the New York Jets as those 0-3 teams. Somebody's going to win. I don't think both of them can lose in the same game. So Denver Broncos, we saw Jeff Driscoll struggle last week. The week prior, he looked like when he came in, like he was going to be the second coming of Nick Foles as a backup. And now now he got knocked down a peg or two. So Denver Broncos team with the tight end with Noah Fant, I still think like he'll probably be the go-to guy. Jerry Jeudy still on the fence whether he's going to play or not. KJ Hamler also banged up. It seems like every weapon under the sun in terms of wide receivers are hurt. Like you were saying, Philip Lindsay, he's still dealing with that turf toe, which leaves Melvin Gordon at the duties. Defensively, I just think that the Denver Broncos are going to do enough. And Vic Fangio is a great D coordinator. So Vic Fangio, even though he doesn't have Von Miller, even though he is missing some guys on the offensive side of the football, I feel like the Denver Broncos are going to come into New York and they are going to take away this W. And the reason why I feel so strongly about Denver in this one is because the New York Football Jets, they've been struggling since day one. Even when they were coming in fairly healthy into the season, now they're even more hurt than before. Look for the Jets to become one-dimensional. Broncos are going to make sure they can't run the football. Darnold's got to throw to nobody, basically, and
Don't be rude.
Broncos are going to take away this win.
Yeah, I hear you through the same thing. Again, they might have lost Drew Lock here for this game too as well. Yes, they are banged up, but still, this defense.
I don't want it to happen. I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
the Jets
Even
to
though they have had the injuries that they have had here, still this defense is one of the top 15 rushing defenses, even top 10, I think. Even I was looking over at their stats; they're still
really
stopping
good,
the run, like really great.
But if you can
the
throw,
Jets don't have a running game as all, so I mean that's all you got to do is basically just be able to stop Sam Darnold. So I mean that's not a big thing to put on your plate here.
Sometimes Sam Darnold likes to throw to the other color.
Right,
jersey.
so that's what we're gonna see. Maybe we do a little prop bet, like. How many touchdowns are the Broncos corners going to get more touchdowns than the Jets receivers? You know what I mean? So I mean, is that going to happen? Yeah. What are you aiming at? So who are you throwing to? All right. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos here as well, even with Driscoll in there. It's a better situation here. Again, like you said, Adam Gase has lost the group there. Nobody's along with him. I think it just gets tough from here on out. Like I said it last week or week before. They don't get a win until week 9, I think, is because that's their bye week, and then it's the only win I think they'll have. So we'll see. Nice. Because they can't lose. So it's a win. You know what I'm saying? All right, here we go. So moving on to Sunday, and the Indianapolis Colts go into the Chicago Bears, who is now 3-0, and now they have Nick Foles there. So it's gonna wipe my brain and try to remember what I'm looking at here now, because now Nick Foles is in charge. This is the way the team should have been. Luckily now they're still 3-0 somehow after all this. And they have the Colts here. The Colts have kind of been up and down. They're like, now you see me, now you don't. What am I getting out of Phillip Rivers? Again, still some of those dumb bonehead turnovers. I think he kind of puts it all on his shoulder here to try and get it out there. Chicago's tough to play at home. Khalil Mack, I think he's a game time decision. Is he going to be able to play this week? Because I know he's saying something like he was banged up, but he wasn't sure if he was playing. I think they limited his practice. Yeah, but he's going to play.
Well, that's a positive. Right? So I mean, it looks like he is on track to play. Yeah. I mean, obviously you'd have to double check like Friday's right practice to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough here for Indianapolis here, but I still believe, in my mind, that the Colts are a better team than Chicago. So I think I'm going to go with the Colts on this one.
Excellent.
Yes.
The only problem that I have with the Colts right now is they are banged up as well. They're missing a corner. They're missing some weapons on offense. Looks like the rookie is not yet ready to come back. Zach Pascal looks like he'll take more of a prominent role, and T.Y. Hilton as well. And How about I think his name is Mo Alley Cox, tight end. He was impressive last week. I mean, a guy with that kind of athletic ability and receiving ability was amazing. And Phillip Rivers absolutely loved him because he kept throwing to him. So the Colts, they have their fair shares of nicks and scrapes there, but so does in Chicago now. I feel a lot more confident now that Nick Foles is now the quarterback.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, if Khalil Mack is there or not, the Chicago defense is healthy again for the most part, and they have all their pieces there. So I feel like this team, as a Bear, if you're a Bears fan, you got to be feeling pretty good now that you have a legitimate and consistent quarterback that can make the plays. I feel like I'm going to go with the Bears on this one.
Right.
Just because if a more well-rounded offense with as long as Nick Foles can run this well this week, everything will take care of itself. Then the Bears defense doesn't have to play in their hands anymore. They can just pin their ears back and go after Phillip Rivers. It'll still be tough because the Colts got one of the best lines in football.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving forward now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who kind of threw me off a little bit last week, go into Cincinnati here in a tough out here because Cincinnati has been in every game and just barely not able to take one out here. And for me, Jacksonville, again, has been one of those teams that I'm like, well, maybe they got a little chemistry going here, a little something here, despite where I'm thinking they might be losing here. What do you have in this game here, Joe, with Jacksonville and Cincinnati?
So Jacksonville Jaguars, they got punched in the nose last week,
Yeah, they did.
and really started to look like not very good, actually. Their defense struggled with the plays. Gardner Minshew and the offense couldn't really get anything going. They got their running game going pretty well. James Robinson looked really good.
Robinson looked pretty good.
Had a couple of touchdowns. But overall, they were really missing DJ Chark. And we talk about your big weapon. If your big weapon's gone, it changes your offense. We saw that last week with Jacksonville. DJ Chark, he's still questionable for this game. If he's playing, that definitely heightens the odds for the Jaguars. And playing the Bengals, here's the thing that kind of concerns me about the Bengals is, yes, Joe Burrow looks like he's going to be a really good quarterback for the future for the Bengals already. He makes good decisions. He's pretty darn accurate with the football, and he's making some plays. But all in all, he does make mistakes. There's been times where he wasn't quite sure if he should let it go and holds onto the football and ends up getting strip sacked or what have you. I look for the Jaguars to really key on Joe Mixon and try to stop the running game. If they can do that and put all the pressure on Joe Burrow, the Jaguars just might get an edge this week and win this game. I'm going Jacksonville.
All right, he's going with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a tough game. Again, like you said.
Definitely a tough game.
But it's going to be, man, I don't know who to go with, but I think I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals here on this one. I'm going to be different again because they've been in every tight game. They should have probably had one last week. Joe Mixon has not been able to get himself going, but we saw what the Miami Dolphins were able to do last week, and I think Cincinnati can maybe start to exploit some of that. You'll see Joe Burrow, I think, maybe his finest here, and get that running game finally going here for them. So I'm liking the Cincinnati Bengals here at home. All right, let's move forward to the Cleveland Browns versus the Dallas Cowboys. And Cleveland still hasn't really impressed me so much. They had the one big game where Odell was lighting it up, and it looked like everything's happy, hunky-dory, and they're going to sing Kumbaya.
Everything looked like it was clicking.
Yes. Last week, again, they pull out a win, but it was against a Washington team who has a great defense, mind you, there. But, again, a game where you, I think, should have been able to control that a little better. And Dallas Cowboys, they're that Jekyll Hyde kind of team. It's like they fall down early, and then we're able to kind of muster them way back in, and you're always going to have that question all year long now with Dak Prescott when they have these games to where he fought them back to get a win, and then this one he fought back and couldn't get it all together. Couldn't get it together. He's getting criticized for that play that he had, towards the end zone where he kind of just threw it up on third down, and end up being an interception, I think. Things like that. So Dallas is at home playing Cleveland, though. I think overall Dallas has been in a lot of these closer games here. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys at home to take care of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I think you're going to see pretty much, the Cowboys go back to their old style of playing. They're going to feed Zeke, let him run all over this defense. Now, don't get me wrong. The Browns' defense is a pretty good defense, but I feel like Zeke is a difference maker when you give him the football. So Dallas is going to try to run the football, and if they can't run the football, they're going to utilize the play-action game. They're going to throw to the vast number of weapons that they have. CeeDee Lamb, the rookie, Michael Gallup, who actually is having a phenomenal year already, and Amari Cooper there. There's just too much to defend, and I feel like the Browns don't have enough to make it happen. Dallas on defense, though, they are susceptible. So this game, even though it might on paper look like Dallas Cowboys are going to run away with this could end up being a pretty close game all the way to the end, but I still think the Cowboys are going to edge out Cleveland.
All right, here we go. Now the New Orleans Saints versus the Detroit Lions here at home. Detroit pulls out a victory. They've had some close games again,
against
too.
Arizona.
They had the lead, so they potentially could have been 2-1 right now. Instead, they're 1-2, much like the New Orleans Saints. Both, I think, are kind of desperate for a win. Detroit wants to stay up here in this division and compete, with the Packers. But the New Orleans Saints, I think, out of anybody, needs a win more than anybody right now, because you've got Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting to click, starting to get that momentum together, starting to make it happen. And they haven't really, the headlines are out there. Where the hell is Gronkowski? And he says, well, I came here to block, and that's what I'm doing. And he doesn't care what his role is, but they haven't even cracked that can open yet. So, I mean, they've been able to use O.J. Howard, and all the other tools that they have. We've even seen, some other players emerge from that team, and they're only going to get better. So, New Orleans. Scotty Miller, yeah, how about that? And the New Orleans Saints, they just got to get it together here. It's going to be a tough one in Detroit, but I think the New Orleans Saints turn it back around and get a win here.
Yeah, this has got to be a pissed-off football team right now. The New Orleans Saints, after everything that's transpired, all the negativity about Drew Brees, his arm is getting weak, he's getting older, all this other thing. Alvin Kamara came out today and said, you know what, y'all need to stop. Drew Brees is our quarterback. He is a great quarterback. No worries about him. So
sit down.
After a couple of like really kind of surprising, performances on the football field, and not in a good way, the New Orleans Saints definitely, they got to come in this game. They're going to be fired up because right now they are not happy with their play. And Sean Payton is not happy with his coaching, happy with the play calling. Look for the Saints to come in this game and try to make a statement against Detroit. Now, don't get me wrong. Detroit could keep up with them in terms of the offense, but I'm just not sure if defensively they're up to the task. And that's really, to me, is going to be where the difference is. Saints have a really good defense along with the explosive offense. I look for the Saints to merely make a statement in Detroit. I'm going with the Saints.
All right, there you go. He's got the Saints as well. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers now in Tennessee. That could happen Monday, could happen Tuesday. Who knows? Maybe it might even not happen. Maybe they'll decide to push it back further. All depends, I think, on how the testing goes again.
I'm open for Tuesday Night Football. I'm excited about that.
It would be cool. I think it would be definitely neat because that's what we a lot of times do our show prep, too. So it would be cool to be able to watch another game, too, as we go. And it'd be nice to have it on another day.
We're going to go live.
Yeah, right here. Let's do pregame on Tuesday.
Steelers.
All right, here is Steelers in Tennessee. Tennessee, like you said,
yes,
they don't look like the team of like what they were last year. We had said this before the season started. I think maybe teams are going to start to tee up on the teams that didn't see him before. Now they see Derrick Henry, and they're really testing Ryan Tannehill now that that team has really put all their chips in on Ryan Tannehill. Said there were other quarterbacks out there. We could have sought out some other ones, and maybe they were at times, but they put their money into Ryan Tannehill. Said, you brought us there before. You can bring us down to the promised land this time. And Corey Davis, who's even seen a bit of an emergence here now, finally, too. A.J. Brown taking a step back here. Corey Davis, the man. And
isn't it funny how Corey Davis, all of a sudden, now it's a contract year.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ball out.
Right. But I think even some people, again, paying a little more attention to A.J. Brown. So then it alleviates. You see what they're doing with Corey Davis. He's getting a lot of in routes here.
Well, now there's no A.J.
Yeah.
He's been hurt.
Yes,
so.
absolutely. But he's getting a lot more in routes and be able to get spots in between those soft zones and being able to make plays on it. So Pittsburgh, though, with their defense, again, like you said, they kind of surprised us. We knew their defense was going to be good, but how is Ben Roethlisberger going to play?
Right.
They talk about knocking rust off. Well, it was a perfect team for them to play the New York Giants, and he was able to knock some of that rust off. Even though when he did get hit, it looked like he had maybe knocked the rust off, or his quarter panel almost fell off in his leg. But he was able to muster it through, and some of the plays that he has made, really you see flashes of that old self. Like, I know he rolled out and threw on the run, and it was right at the end zone. Another 30, 40-yard pass right on target. Amazing here. I think Pittsburgh grinds it out with Tennessee, and they can come out of here with a win.
I agree with you, Jim. I think the Steelers, listen, the Steelers' defense is going to be a lot to handle for Tennessee's offense. And with that, Tennessee's defense they've kind of been up and down for me this, so far through the first 3 weeks. Sometimes they look really good, and then other times you're like, what are they doing? So Tennessee going to have their hands full, and I feel like with Big Ben at the helm and looking as good as he does, there's a lot that Tennessee's going to have to overcome a whole heck of a lot to combat this offense. So I'm going with the Steel Curtain here.
Wow.
All right, yeah. Now we have the Seattle Seahawks going into Miami and the Dolphins. Dolphins high off of a win there with Ryan Fitzpatrick getting the beard going again. And he is, I tell you what, man, with his interviews after the games, whenever he decides to retire, if they do let him out here, he's got to go into TV. He's got to be the color commentator.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I can't imagine the suits he's going to wear, the beard still going, showing up. You know what I mean? I think that's got to be amazing. So I can't wait for that. But anyways, here we've got the Seattle Seahawks here going into Miami. Seattle's just red hot. I just don't think Miami has enough to stop what Russell Wilson's doing. I'm not going to get into it too much, not too much debate. I'm liking Seattle in this one.
Yeah, Miami showed flashes last week. They looked like the team we thought they were going to be, but I feel like they might come back down to earth this week against Seattle, a tough opponent. Now, I do think Miami will be able to put points up on Seattle because of that lack of pass rush on the D-line. And Seattle's still in question with Jamal Adams. I'm not really sure if he's going to play in this game or not. He's still on the fence. That might come into play as well. But Seattle and their offense, I just think that they're not going to – the Dolphins don't have enough on defense to stop them. Russell Wilson is torching the league right now, and even though they are going to be outdoors in Miami, it's going to be a difficult day for the Dolphins. So I'm going with Seattle.
All right, here next up we have the Los Angeles Chargers, who had a surprising loss, I think, for me last week. Go into Tampa Bay now. Tampa Bay. And what they're calling it. See, this is how Tampa Bay fans are here, too. You lose Jameis Winston, and now you've got to be like, oh, we have Tom Brady, so now we're Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. Joe,
Yes,
Chargers, Tampa Bay. Who do you have?
It even sounds gay.
See, that's what I mean. Maybe it's because I just got to say it that way. I mean, that's what it is. It's way.
All right, so the
Smelly pirate hooker.
Yeah, you got the Bucks and the Chargers. Chargers disappointed me as well last week. I thought for sure the Chargers were going to win. Unfortunately, didn't. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I really like this offense. It seems like now after 3 weeks, you're starting to see the chemistry build. You're starting to see the execution. You know, Tom Brady, there was reports and rumors in the offseason saying, well, he's having a little difficulty learning this offense, so there might be a few bumps in the road, but it seems like he's starting to get it right now. It seems like he's clicking with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin when he's there. I don't know if Godwin's going to be there this week. He was injured, so that's still up in the air. But all in all, what I really do like, too, is, surprisingly, Ronald Jones III or a.k.a. Rojo, he's really starting to make a name for himself. Very physical runner. He's really starting to take it to teams. And also behind him, you have Leonard Fournette. I mean, how good does that get? So with the weapons that they have at their disposal, with Tom Brady at the helm, the Chargers are going to be one of those teams. I feel like Chargers are going to be without Chris Harris at corner, which is going to play a part in this game. I feel like Tom Brady will be going away from guys like Casey Hayward and some of the safeties there. But I think in the end, I think Tampa Bay is going to end up getting this win here at home. I just feel like I do like Herbert, Justin Herbert. Now he's going to be the starter going forward. So that does give the Chargers an uptick in their offense. I feel like their offense runs better. This is going to be a good game, I think, but I think I'm going to give Tampa the edge.
I mean, that would be amazing if Justin Herbert come in there and can
would be awesome.
Beat Tampa Bay here.
Awesome.
I mean, that would be great. But I'm going to go with you here also with Tampa Bay and Tom Brady.
Boom, shakalaka.
Yeah, because, I mean, just again, you've got too much veteran presence here on this team. Again, they're clicking right now, the firepower that they have. And the Chargers, they are getting a little better. It's going to take time. They have a rookie quarterback.
Also, I wanted to point out real quick too is Melvin Ingram will not be in this game.
Yep.
He is out with a knee issue.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So I'm here with you there too, as well.
Just double team Bosa, everybody.
Yeah.
Just double team Bosa.
There you go. All right, so I agree with you there. Now Baltimore at Washington, the Washington football team. Baltimore is sore after that last loss here to the Kansas City Chiefs. I see them turning it around against this team here, the Washington football team. The pass defense is great by Washington. You want to get pressure here on Lamar Jackson, but he is hard to take down. He is going to get his runs, get it there. It just hope that he can get the connection down with his wide receivers, and some of these guys can actually catch the ball and not drop wide open ones, and give him some help too as well. There's too many mistakes last week. They can turn around, fix it around here. I see Baltimore taking a victory over the Washington football team.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Washington football team.
Yes.
Their defense is taking quite a hit. No Matt Ioannidis. It looks like he may be out for the season. Chase Young had an injury last week. Looks like he'll be out for this game as well, which is going to greatly impact their pass rush. I feel like with those kinds of injuries, with the Baltimore Ravens coming off of a loss, it's really going to light a fire on them. They want to prove a point that they're not going to lose twice in back-to-back weeks with a inferior opponent in the Washington football team. Baltimore Ravens are going to look to rack up the points this week to make sure everybody knows that they are not who we thought they were when they played the Chiefs. Baltimore is going to end up taking this dub, and they're going to try to score as many as possible.
Oh, yeah, right. Light it up here. Now, Arizona, this is going to be a tough one here, Joe. Arizona, the Cardinals kind of let me down a little bit last week.
They did.
Thought they're going to have a little more
They let me
Kyler
down,
Murray.
too.
It seems like it was, I think it was the Bear. The Bear might have done it here. The Bear might have done it to us here. He joined our show last week, and he kind of said it. He was not into Kyler Murray at all, and kind of squashed our whole thing here, and it was just
I don't know. Kyler Murray lit it
it.
up in fantasy for me.
Yeah, I guess a little bit here, and then and there you go, kind of kiboshed us, I think. So Arizona going into Carolina. Carolina showed this week that they're a tough team. They're not just an easy out. They don't have Christian McCaffrey, and that's what they tried to say, that we are not just around this guy. He is a major focal point, but we can win other ways. It's going to be a tough one here, though, but I think the overall caliber of talent that Arizona has here, I think they can probably bounce back here and pull out a win in Carolina.
Going with the Panthers?
No, I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, that's what I'm going with.
All right, excellent. Yay.
I think last week was just kind of like a mirage. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to get back on track this week. They are going against Carolina. I don't really believe in Carolina yet. Even without Christian McCaffrey, that definitely takes a toll on your offense. Don't get me wrong. I love Mike Davis at running back. I think he's a really good running back. I think it could start for a team that actually needed a running back. But all in all, I feel like the Panthers come back down to earth here against the Cardinals. Cardinals are going to also be one of those teams that are hungry to make a statement after last week's loss.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. All right, the Minnesota Vikings here looking for their first win, and so is the Houston Texans here. So this is what's really exciting. After we just went over through the patience or panic mode here with these teams, one of these teams is going to get their first win. Maybe, unless they tie.
Unless they
so that would be the ultimate. Now, if they tie after this whole thing, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm like, I want a tie here, baby, just because it can make the mayhem even more.
Yeah, I just don't think we could consider them NFL quality football teams if that happens.
Yeah, possibly, But here we go. We've got the Minnesota Vikings going into Houston now, Joe. What do you got in this game?
I don't know. I really don't know. This is one of those games where it's like so perplexing. There's not a whole lot of positives on either team. Like, you got Bill O'Brien on one side who just always makes the wrong decision. And you have a Texans team that's still kind of trying to find their way, trying to find their identity on offense. Brandon Cooks is like non-existent. Randall Cobb gets the ball once in a while. Will Fuller is the go-to guy. But it seems like they've lost too much. They don't have any gusto. It's like Deshaun Watson is lost without Hopkins being there. The Texans are going to try to run the ball, trying to mix it up with the playbook. Defensively, J.J. Watt, not the same player he used to be. He is getting older. He hasn't really made that much. Hasn't really made that much of an impact right now as of yet. Whitney Merciless also kind of irrelevant. The pass rush isn't there on defense, and because of that, their secondary is getting killed. And on Minnesota, they got a good coaching staff, but their defense is weak. So it's like, Jesus, what do I decide here? What do I go with? Do I go with, Kirk Cousins? They got a good offensive line. Texans kind of weak. I think I'm talking myself into taking the Vikings right now. But I mean, I do really like their weapons. I like Adam Thielen there. I like their tight ends, Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith Jr. And now you got this rookie who made a big impact last week. Maybe he could do the same this week against the inferior Texans secondary. And here's the other thing, too. I'm kind of surprised. But this week, there was reports that Earl Thomas was on his way for a workout with the Houston Texans. Looked like he was going to sign.
They sent him home early.
The Texans, no. The Texans canceled or postponed it.
Yeah.
They postponed it to him, and then he's like, no, forget it. I'm not coming.
Yeah.
I was like, Bill O'Brien, yet again,
Yeah.
screwing things
Said
up.
no, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go Minnesota.
All right, he's going to go the Vikings on this one. Here, boom.
I'm changing my pick. I had Houston.
You had Houston? All right. Here, again, this is a tough one. Yeah, you might have convinced me to go with Minnesota here because, again,
I just kind of like the offense, the way, Minnesota, their offense is clicking. Houston, they're still trying to find their way still.
Well, it's a problem if you've got Will Fuller, it seems like the main guy you're going to. But then if you take a look, you take a look at the rest of their offense, Duke Johnson is limited in practice. Randall Cobb did not practice and not injury related. Who knows why he just didn't practice? That's one of your wide receivers.
Too many jelly beans.
All right. Sick. Kenny Stills was limited in practice, so but he's probably going to play. He's sick. He doesn't feel good. Brandon Cooks, who's suffering from a quad, he's had a full practice.
He's in jeopardy.
Again, these are 3 of your 4 wide receivers here that have issues.
Yeah.
And you're starting running back besides David Johnson. Right. So, I mean, it's tough, just like what you're saying here, the struggles that they've had.
Yeah.
They are 29th again in points for, so they're having teams put numbers on them and the worst against the run. So I think Minnesota, to what you're saying is, too, I think if they're the worst against the run, I see Dalvin Cook possibly having a great day against these guys. Minnesota clicking, getting it together, and Adam Thielen have a big day, and maybe they have found something here. Finally, Justin Jefferson getting it going here. And, yeah, I think I like here, too, the Minnesota Vikings, too, as well. And we're going to see the train wreck of the Houston Texans start to crumble around us again. And it's going to be quite glorious. I'm sorry, my Texans fans out there. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. It's like we were excited when Marvin Lewis finally left, and they finally
Exactly.
Finally.
Bill O'Brien needs to go.
Yeah, because look at the Bengals now. See, there's a glimmering, shining light coming up. There's a better horizon moving forward for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the way it is, All right, here, moving forward here. The New York Giants now against the Los Angeles Rams in L.A. in that brand new stadium. It looks pretty wonderful. I like the way it looks. I mean, a lot of people don't. I know Raiders fans like their stadium better, which I think that stadium's pretty amazing as well.
It's just better.
It is. It is. It's
I'll
nice.
give it. Listen, here's what I'll say about the Rams. The Rams stadium looks from the outside looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
It does.
But the Raiders have way more amenities than a lot of the stadiums throughout the league.
Yeah,
They've really
yeah,
done
they do.
a
They went
great
all out.
job.
Yeah.
Everything's like top notch. Like it's pretty special.
Yep. I agree. All right,
And
so
it
the
looks
Giants
awesome.
again looking to look over film, trying ways to get better, and it's going to be tough when you have Aaron Donald getting into that backfield the whole time. You're not going to be able to run the football because again, you got Devontae Freeman there trying to get some moves here. Deion Lewis, who's mainly passing and receiving back. So it's going to be Daniel Jones running for his life, the best he can. Now I would have to ask about the Giants and Jason Garrett to try and mix it up. Maybe some designed run plays for Daniel Jones so you can see because he does have wheels so he can get out there. And if you get him out there to where he's running, it might free up space to where you get those linebackers to bite up on him to where he could dish it off to a Golden Tate over the middle or something like that in the slot position. Maybe Darius Slayton when the breakdown comes out and can get him over the top. But if that happens, that's a miracle probably. So I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. They're looking pretty good this year. They're looking better than I thought they were going to be. I like them here at home over the New York Giants.
So you got Jalen Ramsey, who will be locking up their number one, which looks like it's going to be Darius Slayton.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
I don't think Ramsey is the end all be all like Darrelle
Revis was. Yeah,
used to
I
be.
agree.
But he's still a really, really good corner, and he is going to limit the amount of catches that Slayton will see. So because of that, because it's really going to really hurt without having Shepard there, who was pretty much like the go-to guy. Not the number one, but Daniel Jones really does favor throwing the ball to him. Now that he's not there, and if Slayton's not open enough, it looks like you need to be creative, like you were saying. Definitely utilize the running, and if you do that, you can come off of play action out of that with Daniel Jones.
That's what you have to do.
And he could either take off if he doesn't see anything, or dump it off to even Evan Ingram over across the middle, Golden Tate. Just gonna have to mix it up, basically. I think that'll give him a chance, but in the end, I just think the Rams are going to be just a little bit too much for the Giants. I mean, when you have Aaron Donald as your D tackle, which is like having 3 good D tackles, it's tough to contend with in this Rams team. So I'm going to give the edge to the Rams.
Nothing is impossible.
Except for maybe a win here.
Yeah,
but who
that's
knows?
true. Nothing is impossible.
We've seen it. We've seen it happen before. So
I thought when the Raiders played the Saints, I thought that game was impossible. I thought we were going to definitely lose.
Yeah, you never know. It's about matchups, so we'll see. All right, now we've got the New England Patriots going into Arrowhead here, the Kingdom, and taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are undefeated. Are they going to be able to go in there, Cam Newton, and take down the Kansas City Chiefs? Joe, what do you say about this?
Steve Spagnuolo, yet again, is going to come up with a great game plan and shut down the Patriots' run game. Listen, it's either Cam running the football or it's his running backs running the football. That's what seems to be what the Patriots are trying to execute. They're trying to keep the ball. Listen, they know Cam's limitations, just like we've called it out for months now, for years even. But Bill Belichick, and McDaniels there, they've joined minds, and they're saying, hey, how can we make this team good with Cam? Well, that's easy. We're just going to run the football, whether it be with Cam, whether it be with the running backs, and every once in a while, we got Julian Edelman we can just dump the ball off to, let him get some yards and everything.
Bite on it, dish it off.
So it's really a game of just like cat and mouse. So it's like, if you want to stop our run, okay, I'll just dump it off here, dump it off there type of thing. Or if we can still run the football, we're just going to keep doing it. They did that to the Raiders last week. They literally just ran all the time, and the Raiders just couldn't – the defensive coordinator just couldn't figure out how to stop it. It was terrible. But anyway, New England against Kansas City, I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to have a good game plan going into this one. And the Kansas City offense, if they get a lead and they maintain this lead and could possibly expand it, because we know how how high scoring of an offense this is. It seems like almost every time they touch the ball, they're getting touchdowns. If New England can't combat that, and we know that Cam isn't really a comeback quarterback, he's more of a ground out, slow, maturing type of offense, getting it down the football field slow and methodically. I think Kansas City might even take this game and run away with it. So I'm going with the Chiefs.
Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger smacks the shit out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's going to be like for them. And I agree with you there. I think on Cam Newton, I think if the score gets up big early, he's going to crawl into a shell. And again, he's going to be getting a talking to from McDaniels and stuff and trying to talk him up, because we saw something like that in the Super Bowl the same way, where he was just like shocked by the moment, couldn't get it going. And I just see, again, this team getting in there. And if Chris Jones gets there and lays some more hits down on Cam Newton, we've seen some of the hits he's been taking so far this season. Maybe you don't see Cam Newton next week after this.
Might
one.
not.
Who knows? It'll be
not
tough
to mention, I definitely expect Steve Spagnuolo to have Tyrann Mathieu, a.k.a.
who has played
Badger,
the Patriots even too. Yes, absolutely.
Who is going. He possibly could be put in a spot where he spies Cam.
Mm-hmm.
When they believe it might be a run play or an option play or something like that, Mathieu could be down in the box spying Cam. And he's a physical dude. So, Honey Badger don't care.
Honey Badger don't care. Honey Badger don't give a shit. It just takes what it wants.
That's right. He's going to take Cam.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. He does. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that. And Spagnuolo, he's played the Patriots before. He has been able to beat them before.
It was a lot different then.
Yeah, but they had better talent then. You know what I mean? You're talking about Teddy Bruschi. You're talking about the talent that they had on that team. All right, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs as well with this one again. Like you said, I see that high-powered offense with the different tricks and things that they could do. You don't even know who's going to be getting the ball. It's tough for New England to try and balance here, and I don't think Cam Newton can get in a fighting match with these guys.
Right.
The Buffalo Bills now go to your Vegas Raiders here in Vegas. Joe, what do you got for this one here going on? What do you got? You gonna take?
I love my stadium. That's what I got.
He loves the stadium.
I just love my stadium.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah,
but this is the good thing is the Raiders don't have to travel to the East Coast and play an early game, so they'll be awake for this game. But the Buffalo Bills, they're no joke. I mean, we've said this so often on the show that they have a really complete defense. Josh Allen looks like he's taking another step forward in his development. He's got a lot of weapons now at his disposal. A couple of running backs that look the part. Devin Singletary's lighting it up. Zach Moss was banged up last week. I don't think he played. This week he's in question. But nonetheless, I mean, Vegas Raiders, I think offensively, they are banged up. Looks like maybe Ruggs will be out yet again this week, which is a crucial thing because in Gruden's offense, he's utilizing Ruggs as more of a decoy than anything. Darren Waller, how healthy is he going to be? Josh Jacobs was banged up last week again. So there's a lot of things for the Vegas Raiders that don't look so well. 3 out of 5 offensive line starters might be out again this week. Because of all this, I think Buffalo is going to come into Vegas and they might just take this W away from them. A very hurt Raider team.
Yeah, I hear you there too. Again,
I have no confidence in my D coordinator. Did I mention that?
No confidence in the defense coordinator. Yeah. Oh, we've said that a few times. Yeah, I hear you.
He's terrible.
Yeah, I know. And I was buzzing. I was feeling it off your guys' new stadium. I saw how they were able to click, and I felt for it, Joe. I know I should just listen to you. I've been working with you for how long now, and we've been friends for so long.
Yeah.
I just got to listen to your advice. That's the thing. Sometimes the fans, they do get crazy. Fans get crazy. But there's other fans, too, that also know the team so much. They know what it's going to do. We saw Buffalo fans, was it last year or so, they knew when they were going to lose to, the teams like the Jets. And they were like, this doesn't feel right. Or they're boom there, and boom, there it is or something.
Yeah, right.
And it happens. And this is what happened there with them. The Buffalo Bills, this was, again, another true test. People wanted to see what they could do. Could they grind out the games, and could they win? They did it against a tough opponent. Now they have the Vegas Raiders, who, again, like you said, the defense is just a hit-miss, not so strong.
Those make me nervous.
Nothing near what they just faced. And Buffalo has a great defense here. And I see the Buffalo Bills here coming through with a win here in Vegas here and getting the first loss in their new stadium here for the Vegas Raiders. All right, next up we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. All right, this one's going to be tough to watch. You want turn that up, or you going to jump into that? Oh, here we go. Here, I'll turn that one down. Here we go. This is Sunday night football. Football in America.
Which is about as excited as I can get with Philadelphia.
Yeah. Now, did they get rid of Al altogether in that? Is that Mike Tirico in that Sunday night game, or is that just for Thursday? So I saw Mike Tirico there with Chris Collinsworth. I think. I
know they did change up
the
primetime games.
Yeah. And it changed it up, but I definitely like Tirico in there too. It was exciting. I don't like Jack Collinsworth in there. What the hell is that? Not really. I mean, it looks exactly like Chris Collinsworth, but
it sounds like him.
I know, but it's kind of like, all right, I got my kid this gig, and we're rolling with it. And kind of like, man.
Well, he is going to take over for his father, so they're grooming him up to take over.
That's crazy. Okay, it's interesting. Maybe I just need to get used to it. You know, it needs to warm up to it. All right, but anyways, here we go. We got the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the one terrible Thursday night or Sunday night game. Sunday night game here. See, I knew it was so terrible. I almost said Thursday night.
Right.
It's
so bad.
That's how bad it was. All right, but the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, they showed that they can win even with 7 of their starters out, or 7 players. But they still altogether have a great personnel. You know, they're deep. What they have with talent. We saw Deebo Samuel come back a little bit, finally, he's been banged up. Philadelphia Eagles can't get out of their own way. Carson Wentz seems like this pressure that he's had is kind of got into his own head, and it's making him a worse player. You know what I'm saying? It feels like he doesn't trust anybody. He's got to do everything on his own, so he's holding on the ball too much, trying to just hold it out there and get whatever he can out of it instead of thinking just clearly with his head, like, I just got to get rid of this quick. Maybe it's better to throw this away and live another day. He goes all out and leaves it all on the field, and that's what gets him injured, and that's what gets him making these dumb mistakes. I like the San Francisco 49ers to take away a victory here. And again, the Eagles do not have a win yet here. They're going to be,
and they don't have any weapons. I mean, Deshaun Jackson's banged up. Jalen Reagor, their rookie, who looked like he was going to be a starter for them, he's out this week. It looks like he went on IR for at least 3 weeks. Alshon Jeffrey, he's on track to come back this week, but again, we'll have to wait and see by the end of the week if he's going to actually make his debut this year. And all in all, simply they just don't have enough weapons available for Carson Wentz to make an impact. Miles Sanders is there. That's great. They got the running back. But all in all, you got Zach Ertz, no Dallas Goedert, a lot of injuries, offensive line banged up. I mean, there's not a whole lot to like with Philly. San Francisco, they've proven it before. Could this mean that Jimmy G could be dealt? If you've seen Nick Mullins play last week, he looked better than Jimmy G in this 49er offense. I would make the argument, if he does it again this week,
I don't know. He's looked good for a few weeks in there when he had to spell them before, but then again, some of the tougher games they weren't able to pull away with. And again, you're talking, he just played a New York Giants team to where maybe their front line is kind of impressive there too, but that secondary besides Bradbury is suspect here and there. So you can make plays happen.
That's why I'm saying this week.
This week, yeah, you definitely
do.
But I'm just saying,
he plays well again. But here's the thing: you got to remember when Nick Mullins originally, when he got his chance before, this is not the same team.
Yeah.
This is a vastly improved team.
Yeah.
If you have this kind of an offensive line in front of him with the weapons, with Brandon Ayuk, who is a rookie right
Brandon
now,
Ayuk was
and
nice
mind
to see him
you,
last
Deebo
week,
Samuel, when he makes his return, could be this week, maybe it's next week, but that just makes his team all the more scarier on offense. Also, their running backs have taken a hit. Jerick McKinnon last week, who finally got his starting job. I mean, didn't get it back, but got to start again.
Play,
played really well, but he got banged up. Does this mean that Wilson Jr. is going to be the starter this week? We'll have to monitor that going forward. And when does Ryan Mostert return? Could it be this week?
Yeah.
Could it be next week? But all in all, the Niners team, doesn't matter if the starters are in or not. They have such great depth. The defense is still going to kill it. I look for the Niners to win this one.
All right, there you go. And that leads us to Monday Night Football. I tell you what, I really like the Monday Night Football crew that they have there, too. I think it's pretty good.
I just like Louis Riddick.
I like Louis Riddick.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean,
Brian
Greasy,
Greasy's a numbnuts.
it's just, that's why I think he's just in the middle. He watches the other guys do their thing. And he's like, hey, I'm here.
Hey, oh, yeah.
I'm here, guys. Yeah.
You see that play?
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, they should just maybe cut out him and keep it with, you know, Steve Levy. And then you've got, Louis Riddick there, man. But I like what he does there. It's great. And, the Atlanta Falcons go into Green Bay. It's going to be tough again because the way Green Bay or the Falcons have been playing, they have been able to put up some points. I mean, that offense is a little different here, but the defense just isn't going to do enough to help this offense out. And still, we've seen it. If it gets close, if Green Bay has a lead and Matt Ryan needs to come back and force this thing in to try and keep them in his game, it's not going to happen. He is nicknamed Matty Ice just because he is ice cold in big pressure moments just like this one. I like the Green Bay Packers.
I just think it's awfully funny how many times Atlanta's given up leads and just flat out lost the game when they should have won.
Mm-hmm.
This game could be a shootout. I mean, it all depends. I really believe that if Julio Jones is able to play this week, that we could actually see a shootout happen here. But Atlanta might be on the short end of the stick against Green Bay because they do have a better defense. I like Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. That's simple.
It's just that simple. And there you go. There's our weekly picks. And there's our show. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes.
We definitely appreciate you guys checking it out. Tom Leiter out there too, especially with the shares too. Like I said.
Thank you, Tom.
Comment, like, share. I know you guys also like to check out our show afterwards. I know it's sometimes tough on a Wednesday night to stay up late and watch us. We are in the East Coast, and I know we have a lot of West Coast fans out there too, doing a lot of other things. Our buddy Raider Bear in California too. Shout out to him. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to us on YouTube. You hit the Football on the Know show. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. And join our group, Football on the Know show on Facebook if you guys like to talk NFL, get the latest and greatest updates. And also like our page, too, because we are going to be doing a switch over to our page, too, to get a little more active with everybody, too, as well, just to make this an overall better experience.
Well said, Jim.
There you go. And we have masks, too, if you guys want to buy some masks, too. We are still dealing with COVID right now.
$10 a piece.
And they are breathable. And I think any coach in
sexy.
the NFL would love to wear them and be able to not have to worry about covering their face.
They're sexy. They feel so soft.
There you go.
It enhances your eyes, makes you look prettier.
There you
it's
go.
Nice.
Absolutely. So that's it. Thank
you
so much.
Before you cut me off here.
Sure. No,
go
ahead. You bring us home, Joe.
I just want to say, know-it-alls out there, please, we beg you, tell all your football friends, your family, everybody about our show. Make sure you go ahead and bring them into the family here. Bring them into the fold. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter at FB_know. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Hit all the socials. Make sure you become a know-it-all. Let's go.
Just do it!
All right. Thanks. Have a good night.